nice to be back, and it's nice to be able to hand over to Greg Hughes. Good morning, Greg.
How was it, Liam?
Daddy.
Nervy?
What time you finish this program, and we'll have a good chat. No. It was good. I came in a bit earlier than usual and I got stuck into it, and I'm just finding my way.
It's good crack, isn't it?
It's a bit of fun.
It's great to have you back.
Thanks.
All right, Lee, see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, for the naughty alarm clock from 6:30. It's the 9 till noon show right now, though. And at 9 o'clock, it's time for our first news update of the day on this programme. And it's Good Morning, Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. A man has died and 2 others have been injured in a fatal crash near Buncrana last night. Gardaí say a woman in her 30s is in a serious condition. Tara Duggan reports.
The collision involving 2 vehicles happened on the mountain road between Buncrana and Carndonagh in the area of Meena Ward at around 10:50pm. The driver of one of the vehicles, a man in his 40s, was pronounced dead at the scene. His body has been taken to the mortuary at Letterkenny University Hospital. The driver and passenger of the second vehicle were also taken to Letterkenny University Hospital for treatment to their injuries. Gardaí say the condition of the passenger, a female in her 30s, is serious. The mountain road is currently closed between Buncrana and Carndonagh as the scene is preserved for a technical examination by the Garda Forensic Collision investigators. Diversions are in place at Drumfreeze and Churchland quarters. Gardaí in Buncrana are appealing for witnesses to come forward and those with camera footage, including dash cam footage, to make it available to them. Anyone with information is asked to contact Buncrana Garda Station, the Garda Confidential line, or any Garda station.
A government minister has described mocked-up footage of a Russian nuclear strike destroying Ireland as shocking and unacceptable. The item was introduced by a close associate of Vladimir Putin on state television and depicts the nuclear weapon being detonated off the coast of Donegal. It shows the obliteration of Ireland and Britain and falsely claims that Boris Johnson has threatened a nuclear attack on Russia. Environment Minister Eamon Ryan says he expects Irish diplomats will make the state's reaction to the clip known.
One of the arguments is whether we should have or not or retain our embassy in Moscow. I've always said it was better to retain it. So yes, you can communicate, because I believe it was state television that clip was used. It is totally unacceptable, and I'm quite sure our diplomats in Moscow and our Department of Foreign Affairs here will be making that known.
The government will be considering plans to cut college fees this morning under new proposals to reduce the cost of third-level education. Higher Education Minister Simon Harris also wants to see the grant system reformed so that more part-time students can access financial support. Education writer John Walsh says changes to college funding has been a long time coming.
The Minister has promised that he would be the Minister who would take or get the final decisions taken on the funding of higher education, because that funding can has been kicked down the road so often, it's run out of space. So a decision really has been long overdue on the funding issue.
Weather nice, some bright or sunny spells today, but overall cloudy with patchy outbreaks of rain and drizzle developing. Mild and humid with highest temperatures of 13 to 16 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
COVID-19 can still cause serious illness, especially in people at higher risk. We need to keep protecting each other. So stay home if you have symptoms. Wear a mask in healthcare settings, public transport, and busy places. Let fresh air in if you're meeting indoors. Keep hands clean. And get a COVID-19 vaccine and booster. Let's keep looking out for each other. From the HSE, for us all.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Good morning to you. 4 minutes past 9. It's a Tuesday. It's the 3rd of May, and you're very welcome along to the 9 till noon show. How will this week go? If you were off yesterday, nice short week, or sometimes I think when the 4-day weeks they can end up feeling like 8, but we shall see. At least it looks like we're going to have some decent weather to enjoy it in as best we can. Plenty coming up in the programme for you today. Community Garda Information item coming up for you after 10. We're going to be looking back on that historic night of boxing in New York, where Katie Taylor was triumphant. Tough fight for her, best fight I've ever seen her in. And also maybe look at the prospects of her fighting in Ireland. The mood music is sounding good for a September rematch in Croke Park. We'll see. Also, of course, that coverage of the threat, in inverted commas, of UK being attacked by a bomb off the northwest coast of Ireland. That's coming from Russia State Television. It's kind of akin to someone like Pat Kenny saying it or something, but anyway, we'll still look into it and see what the story is there. That and so much more besides what happened to you over the weekend. Anything to report, good news, any issues you want to raise, share them with us. 086 60 25,000, your WhatsApps and texts. We'd love to have you involved in the programme, even if you've never texted a radio show before. Let today be the first day. Call Caroline on 07491 25,000. She's taking your calls there. And also you can watch the programme, as you know. Go to our webpage, highlandradio.com. You can watch in browser there. You can see me if you wanted to. Why would you? More importantly, you can see our guests as they join us for the most part. And also you can go directly, if you wish, to our social medias. YouTube, it's Highland Radio Ireland, of course. On Facebook, it's either Highland Radio News and Sport or Highland Radio. So let's see what's making the front pages of the papers, both local and national. And the Donegal Press this morning, the Donegal People's Press to give it its full title. Donegal's hospitality industry has moved into post-pandemic recovery mode, but this comes with a warning. The newfound momentum could be derailed if the government decides to increase VAT rates in September. This note of caution was sounded by the chair of the Donegal branch of the Irish Hotels Federation, Paul Diver, who is also the owner of the world-renowned Sandhouse Hotel in Rossnala. He said the May Bank holiday weekend has been good to Donegal, with a high number of visitors coming here from all over Ireland. He added that Donegal appears to have performed exceptionally well in attracting people who had holidayed in the county last summer. The returning staycationers, I know a lot of people don't like that phrase, but people holidaying at home, maybe they might prefer. I hope it continues, and I hope VAT is an issue that can be resolved. I just wonder, I fear that consumer sentiment is going in the wrong direction, and people might choose to bank any money that they might have or spend it on things that are more essential. And I don't know, I'm just out and about chatting and even seeing myself. You kind of do get a 2007 vibe. I don't want to be depressing for a Tuesday morning, but I hope that's not the case. The Derry Journal this morning, a grateful Inishowen family have organised a major music event to thank the charity that supported them with their bubbly little girl who had to travel to Germany for treatment for a brain tumour. 9-year-old Caitlin Strain from Burnfoot travelled to Germany in May last year for proton therapy, during which she and her family were supported by the Gavin Glynn Foundation. The foundation assists families with various aspects associated with travel overseas for specialist cancer treatment, and was an incredible help to the Strain family. More on the front of and inside the paper on that story today. As I said a little earlier on, we are going to be previewing the elections in Northern Ireland later on in the show. It's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be historic. Pat McCart, I think, is joining us. We'll get his views on that. But it's featured on some of the front pages today, including the Irish Times. It would be undemocratic if the DUP refused to form an executive after this week's Assembly elections in Northern Ireland, Taoiseach Micheál Martin has warned. He said, I think there's an obligation on parties to take their seats, and I would appeal to all parties, irrespective of the outcome in the election, to take their seats and form an executive. That's very, very important, Mr. Martin said in an interview with the Irish Times. Asked if it would be undemocratic not to take the seats and form an executive, Mr. Martin said, yes, fundamentally, I believe that. I've always been a strong critic, even when Sinn Féin brought down the executive, and Sinn Féin didn't like my attacks on them at the time. Equally, I'm critical of the DUP for not enabling the executive to function fully at the end. So, I mean, we are probably going to see a situation whereby Sinn Féin are going to be the biggest party in Northern Ireland. We know why the DUP collapsed Stormont. It's because of the perception or reality of a border down the Irish Sea. That's going to be there post-election. So I don't know. I don't know how they're going to resolve that. There's people know an awful lot more about that. We'll be tapping into their brains on that subject a little later on. But if you've got a commentary on that, 086 60 25,000. The middle ground seems to be gaining, if I could call it that, seems to be gaining traction in Northern Ireland. Alliance looking like they could do very well, and depending on how things go, could be the second biggest party, who's to say. There's some opinion polls suggesting it's very close between they and the DUP. That being said too, I don't know, I think sometimes people say one thing to someone holding a clipboard or on the end of a phone, but when it comes to polling day, they might do something different. So it's all there, it's all to be had, and we will be previewing it, as I mentioned, and obviously keeping you up to date with the outcome of it and analysing that post May 5th. OK, let's go to the Irish Independent now. And cuts to student fees will be considered by Cabinet under a major plan to reduce the cost of third-level education. I think this is particularly potential good news in the Northwest. I think there's a lot of us that can't send our young people to college or university because of the cost, simply because of the cost. So anything that would allow more young people or older people to attend third level, if that's what they want to do, the better. Higher Education Minister Simon Harris will outline to colleagues the landmark reforms to how the sector is funded, while also setting out his plans for addressing the cost of going to college. The minister is planning to push to have fees reduced as soon as this year, while also overhauling the grant system to ensure more students, including those studying part-time, can apply for state funding. Mr Harris also secured a multi-million euro investment from Public Expenditure Minister Michael McGrath, which will address the long-standing funding gaps. And if there is a reduction in fees, it is the taxpayer that is going to be funding that. When more details are released on that, we'll look at it a little closer, of course. I'm not surprised the turf story continues to rumble on. It is a big issue, particularly in rural Ireland. It's covered in the Irish Daily Mail today. And Environment Minister Eamon Ryan has said he's confident the government will get the new turf regulations right when they're introduced later this year, despite massive opposition from rural TDs and dissent amongst coalition parties. It comes following weeks of controversy surrounding the proposed ban on large-scale sale of turf. It's being described differently now, though, and I think when newspapers are reporting it, that they should use the language that was originally used. They describe it as the large scale sale of turf, but sure, that isn't necessarily what had us up in arms, is it? The narrative is being changed right before our very eyes. It makes people sound in rural Ireland that they were kicking up a storm over, the big boys selling turf in huge numbers. That's not what it was about. This all started because people were under the impression that they wouldn't be able to gift turf, or they couldn't sell a few bags in the community. We weren't talking about huge companies. That's not what got us angry. Now, as I say, that still has to be resolved, but I just don't like the way the words are being changed, and people will go, well, sure, what are they worried about? Well, that's, I'm rattling, but I hope you know what I mean. Speaking to the Irish Daily Mail, Kerry TD Michael Healy-Rae said, if the turf regulations are forced through, people will be forcibly letting their feelings be known, and they will definitely be making their feelings known at the ballot box. Mr Healy-Rae said people in his constituency feel as though they are being pushed and pulled and dragged and bullied by the government. It's hard to read a quote from one of the Healy-Raes without finding yourself in your mind sounding like them. On to the Irish Daily Star now. And the number of deaths reported to coroners around the country last year were up 43% on pre-COVID-19 levels, with almost 7,600 extra deaths notified compared to 2019 now. We're not going to rehearse or rehash the arguments, but it was like, the same amount of people are dying as always died. That was the narrative, but these figures show, and it always takes a while for them to come out, that's sadly not the case. 7,600 extra deaths were reported compared to 2019. New figures published by the Department of Justice show 25,421 deaths were notified to the country's 38 coroners during 2021, compared to 17,822 in 2019, the last full year before the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. There was also a noticeable increase in the number of deaths in 2020, which were up 32% on 2019 levels to 23,465. The official number of COVID-19 deaths published by the HSE was 7,087 until the end of April. So certainly, and people can discuss what was the cause of excess death, but figures show for 2020, 2021, significant excess death. So on to this story in The Sun today about this Russian TV show presenter. He's not really incredibly popular. I think the older generation love him. Younger people are tuning out. But Russian state TV has threatened to drown Ireland with a radioactive tsunami, along with the UK, in a bizarre new propaganda video. In the chilling broadcast, pro-Putin host Dmitry Kiselyov showed how the Kremlin's latest world-ending Satan II nuclear missile could also annihilate the British Isles. One video shows an animated missile landing on the UK and the shockwaves wiping out Ireland in the process. Another shows an underwater nuclear drone explode in the ocean above Donegal, and 500 metres high waves destroying the two islands. The warning comes as the Kremlin has raised the prospect of devastating military strikes on Britain over their deal to supply weapons to the Ukraine. Now, the tabloids in particular love, and fear must sell, because they particularly love to push the possibility of this ending in a nuclear war. And we certainly hope it's not the case, but at the end of the day, if that happens, it's over for all of us effectively, including Russia. Will they go down that route? It would be effectively them saying, right, we can't win this, we're going to call it quits for everyone. I don't know, I can't see that happening. I hope it doesn't happen. And the Irish Daily Mail, many of you were up early or stayed up late or got up in the middle of the night to watch Katie Taylor in a historic bout. It was an excellent night of boxing. Liam Smith was fighting earlier on too. It was very entertaining. If you're into that thing, some people find it a horrific sport, but anyway. What about homecoming for Katie Taylor? Do you think that is what's justifiable? A lot of her activity in Ireland had been, in terms of boxing and stuff, had been curtailed, not because of her, she has no links as such, but because of what happened at the then Regency Hotel. Gardaí wouldn't give approval for a lot of things surrounding boxing because of the fear of reprisals and what have you. Things have moved on a little bit, so one would hope that she does get to box once on the biggest stage of all in Ireland, which would be Croke Park. There's a huge appetite for a rematch. She's up for it. Her opposition, not so much. I think she's come up a couple of weights. She's a champion at a lighter weight. I'm not sure she wants to go through it all again. But anyway, if the money's right, they'll turn up. But the story in the paper is that boxing hero Katie Taylor deserves a ticker tape homecoming to celebrate her world title victory. Counsellors and a referee who is central to the champ's career believe. Sadie Duffy was the woman in charge of the Bray Stars' first ever official all-women's fight in Dublin in 2001, 21 years before Saturday night's mega matchup in New York City. Over 19,000 people packed out Madison Square Garden. Now, the likes of Floyd Mayweather, he's recorded some of the biggest gates in that venue. He didn't sell it out on occasion. Canelo, I think, struggled to sell it out once. Katie Taylor did. Sadie told the Irish Mirror that Katie's rise from the first fight in 2001 in Dublin to superstardom in the Big Apple means the Queen of World Boxing has to have a homecoming celebration. And we're going to be chatting to Sadie later on in the programme, so we'll get our own take from her on that. It's great to have access to someone who knows so much about Katie Taylor, so that's we're going to be bringing that to you. What are your views on that? Anything we've discussed there? Stuff we haven't discussed? Is there something happening across the Northwest that you think we should know about? Again, it's not just bad news. Maybe there's some positive stuff out there that you want to shine a light on as well. Caroline, always there to take your calls. 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text line. 086 60 25,000, or call us on 074 91 25,000. Okay, we'll be back with more on the 9 till noon show after we take this short break.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
You can do pretty much anything in just a few taps. Buy a car, book a holiday, and now you can even apply for a permanent TSB digital current account in-app in minutes. It's quick, it's mobile, it's the start of making your everyday banking easier. Now that's permanent support. Application in your sole name for over 18 personal customers and residents of the Republic of Ireland only. Qualifying criteria, terms and conditions apply. Permanent TSB PLC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
They say you should have your second baby first, because with your second baby, you'll have learned what to do, what not to do, what's best for baby and best for you. Like the Loopy Loo range from Lidl. Everything your baby needs, including award-winning nappies from only 99 cents. When you know what to do, Loopy Loo. Available exclusively at Lidl. More for you. See our full range at lidl.ie/Loopy Loo.
This is the new Toyota Yaris Cross, a new kind of SUV, a new point of view, new compact style, new spacious feel, and exclusively self-charging hybrid. The right choice for today. Get a new perspective with the Yaris Cross self-charging hybrid. Available now at Kelly's Toyota, Port Road, Letterkenny, or Drumby, Mount Charles. You'll never take a wrong turn with Toyota. Built for a better world.
Atlantic Technological University Donegal's May Open Day will take place on Thursday the 5th of May from 3 to 7 p.m. Join us on our Letterkenny campus to discover the wide range of course options available. With undergraduate, postgraduate and part-time offerings, soak in the atmosphere at Donegal's newest university. If you're not able to come in person, log on to our virtual open evening platform on Thursday from 3 to 7, where you'll be able to join live webinars, take a virtual tour and talk to academic and support staff. Atlantic Technological University. The future is here.
Okay, now on Thursday, May 5th, between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m, there is a webinar and it's called PAs Now. And to discuss this, I'm really pleased to welcome onto the programme John Doherty. John, a very good morning to you and thanks for chatting to us this Tuesday morning.
Morning, Greg.
How are you keeping?
Good now.
All right, very good. Okay, so you are visually impaired and you use a personal assistant, a PA. How important is this webinar on Thursday?
It's very important. It's vitally important to myself and other personal assistant service users throughout the country, not only throughout the county of Donegal, but throughout the country. Because
Go ahead, yep.
Yeah, because it represents our role in all this as personal assistant service users is to have a right to a personal assistant service. So as to allow our mission, as you want it that way, is to have a personal assistant service as a right in Ireland. So it's a basic human right for Irish disabled people.
And what way does it work now? Is it a bit of a lucky draw, John? You have to campaign, or if you're lucky enough to, maybe an organisation might fund it. I don't know. What way does it operate at the moment?
Basically, yeah. So most organisations like the service providers would provide personal assistant hours to disabled people. It comes funding through the HSE. But a lot of the time it's just an entitlement. So, like in certain situations, say like in when recessionary times, the cuts, people at their service either didn't receive a service or the services were taken from them, the services were cut. But now what's happening is the services are more like, well, say home help services, if you want to put it that way, where people aren't really getting to be in a situation where they can use theirs as they wish. I'm lucky enough to be, but a lot of people aren't because of their HSE aren't funding things like social hours, for example.
Yeah.
So for a lot of disabled people, their services are, let's say, the amount of people coming in home help service where it's the people coming in 4 times a day. Whereas for like myself, I wouldn't want that. Like I would like a PA to come in when I need them.
Yeah, so it's a bit more flexible and designed more to your needs rather than a working day or what fits with other people's plans, effectively.
Yeah. So that's really what we want for everyone in the country, basically, is that we want a service where people can do that, and that regardless of the situation we find ourselves in, financially or anything else, that the service isn't taken from us.
And presumably too, at the moment, well, we'll not necessarily talk about your situation, but maybe we can talk generally. It might be better. Like how much of, say for instance, if you have a personal assistant, how much can you decide what you do with that PA, or how much does the PA and say, well, this is what I'm doing?
No, like normally it wouldn't be the PA would never do that.
Right.
Generally it would be the HSE funding program. So with the HSE, they would devise what's called a care plan, and it would be that sort of thing is where you're told you have half an hour to get somebody out of bed, and maybe then another 15 minutes to get the breakfast, and maybe you could add 10 minutes onto that then for between the bed and breakfast. If they want to shower, for example, that would take about maybe 10 minutes. So to get dressed might take they would add little things like that into it.
Yeah, I get you.
And you'd have an hour maybe to go to bed, depending on they would add there'd be a care plan. That's what we add into the slots like that, and then that would add up to the amount of hours the person would have in a given.
Yeah, but say, for instance, in a situation where you don't need that level of assistance, but you might need assistance. I'll say, for instance, you play soccer at the weekends, or if you have an activity that you want to do outside of the home, do you get assistance in doing that?
Oh, yeah. So what I would have to do is I would have to give away won't take away ours, but I would have to use ours and then not use theirs at some other point.
Okay, very good. I'll get you.
And
Understood.
for the likes of myself, that's going to be a difficulty if I was to move in. If I was to move into my own home, I'm lucky I'm still living in the family home. But if I was to move into my own home, that's where difficulties might arise.
Right, so that then starts hindering your ability if you wanted to live on your own or a different type of more independent living, for example.
Yeah.
Okay, I get you. Right, now, a lot of guests are invited and there is quite a good turnout for this webinar. It only lasts 1 hour, does it? It's going to be tough to fit everyone in, but talk to us about some of the guests.
Well, we only have, so far, that from a Donegal point of view, I suppose, Deputy Thomas Pringle is going to be speaking at the webinar.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the Minister for State, Anne Rabbitte, Deputy Thomas Pringle, Senator Eileen Finn,
yeah,
Senator Barry McGuigan, right?
Aaron McGuigan, isn't it? Yeah.
Aaron McGuigan, yeah, sorry. And yeah, so they'll be speaking, and then there'll be various members of ILMI staff that'll be speaking at, and then there'll also be people who will talk about their own experiences, and they'll talk about their own experience of using a personal assistant.
Mm.
The challenges they face, and doing that, and fighting for it,
And this kind of has to go beyond, doesn't it? Going, oh, that's terrible, something needs to change. This is something you want to see action on, isn't it? You want to say, right, okay, we recognise what needs to happen here. We need to find a way to fund this. We need to find a way to make this a thing of the past. That's what you want to come out of something like this.
Yeah. So that it's not just a pilot scheme that's tried out. It's something that we need to have for life now. This is something we as disabled people are looking for to have now. That we can see it enacted by legislation almost. That's why we're looking for the politicians to get involved.
Right, now the URL, the website address to register is it's like bit.ly/. In other words, is there a place that people can go to sort of find the link? We'll share it on our Facebook pages, but is there a website or a Facebook page you would advise people go to, John, so they can click this link and register for this webinar?
So they can go to ilmi.ie.
Okay, ilmi.ie.
Sorry, ILMI. So Independent Living Movement of Ireland.
ILMI. Sorry, that's my fault. Okay. And they can register there. And I think, it'd be of great interest to lots of people to understand and to get more. You've given us a fantastic insight today, John, but to listen to more people that might avail of these services and they know themselves the best way to improve them, presumably.
Yeah, well, they can also go onto Facebook and Twitter and Instagram at ILM Ireland. So they can go onto the Facebook page at ILM Ireland, or there's a Twitter and Instagram page there as well.
All right, brilliant stuff. John, listen, thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate it. All right, take care of yourself. Yeah. Thank you very much indeed. That was John Doherty there. He is visually impaired, also uses a personal assistant, and he himself and others know best what is required, and they're going to be discussing that at this webinar on Thursday, May 5th between 1 and 2 p.m. And hopefully something comes from that. Right, okay. Now, as you may have heard in the news, there was a road traffic collision which took place in Inishowen late last evening, and very sadly, it was a fatal crash. A person has lost their life. I understand another is seriously injured. Now, obviously, it's very important that Gardaí gather as much information as possible as it relates to these type of instances. And with that in mind, we're joined on the programme now by Superintendent Gretty Sheridan. Thanks for joining us this morning, Gretty. Obviously, it's a shame we are speaking in this context, but it's really important, isn't it, that anyone out there with information brings it forward. So can you, as much as you can, tell us what happened last night?
Good morning. Last night, just after 10:30 on Monday the 2nd of May, there was a road traffic collision on the Mountain Road at an area known as Mina Ward, where two cars were involved in the collision, and unfortunately, the sole occupant of a black Skoda Octavia lost his life. And I suppose at the outset, I want to offer my sincere condolences to his family and friends. And a second car, a silver Opel Meriva, had two occupants in it, a male driver in his 40s and a lady in her 30s, a passenger who is in a serious condition, currently in receiving medical attention. So it's just that what I'm looking for this morning, Greg, is if anybody in the area has any information in relation to the accident, to contact Buncrana Garda Station on 9320002 or on the Garda Confidential line 1-800-666-111. I suppose our job at this stage is to try and establish, what happened surrounding the accident, and our forensic collision investigator will be there this morning carrying out an investigation at the scene. The road remains closed and will be closed until probably lunchtime. So that is to enable us to gather as much evidence as we can at the scene.
And the appeal goes out to those, particularly with dash cam footage. Lots of people have cameras in their cars. I presume it's not just at the actual time of this collision either. It could be leading up to it, whatever. Any little bit of information, give it to the Gardaí, and the Gardaí can filter through what's relevant and what's not. You just want anyone who may know anything to contact, as you've been outlining there, presumably, Gretty.
Absolutely, that's correct. Just anybody with any bit of information that would have seen the silver Opel Meriva or the black Skoda Octavia prior to or at the time of the collision, just to contact us here in Buncrana. We'd really appreciate that. Okay, thank you for your time this morning. And just to recap, the Mountain Road, the R244, it's currently closed between Buncrana and Carndonagh as the scene is preserved for a technical examination by the Garda Forensic Collision investigators. If you need to use that road, obviously you can't. Diversions are in place at Drumfries and Churchland quarters as well, and we'll join with Superintendent in offering our condolences to the family and friends and the community of the gentleman that lost his life, but also the anxiety and stress as people are worried about, obviously, those that are injured. And unfortunately, it's not the only serious road traffic collision which occurred in the region over the weekend. So thinking on all of those affected by those, and there'll be further appeals as relates to other instances during our Community Garda information item, which is coming up for you just after the 10 o'clock news. Okay. Right. We are going to be discussing the fallout, hopefully not nuclear fallout, of those Russian state TV clips which simulated Ireland effectively being wiped off the map with the use of nuclear weapons. I think the general consensus, by the way, is the chances of that happening are minute. But be that as it may, these are people with influence in Russia. A lot of people watching it. We'll get an Irish reaction to it after these messages.
Sportswear from men at Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. Under Armour training, quarter zips, tech tees with classic training shorts in different lengths. Nike running range with quarter zips. Nike Pro t-shirts match with a classic 5-inch Nike running shorts. Adidas Tiro 21 range in new seasonal colours will have you looking healthy and fit. Look the part, play the part. In store or online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
By choosing Donegal Creamery's milk, you're supporting over 200 dairy farming families across Donegal in doing what they do best, producing delicious, fresh milk every day. For over 100 years, Donegal Creamery's milk has been brought to you daily from our dairy at Crossroads, Killygordon, the longest established creamery in the region. Support local farms, local families and local jobs by choosing Donegal Creamery's milk.
It's back, and it's bigger and better than ever before. The one, the only, Grove Furnishings, a sale odyssey, your local easy living store.
Grove Furnishings' big anniversary sale is now on at Kiltoy Road, Letterkenny.
The Blue Stack Special Needs Foundation presents its 20th Anniversary Blue Stack Challenge fundraising walk on the 21st of May. The Blue Stack Foundation is dedicated to enhancing the lives of individuals with additional needs. They offer a range of supports to children, vulnerable adults and their families. This year's ambition is to fund expansion into the wider Donegal area. Registration closing soon. To register or donate, visit www.bluestackfoundation.com. This ad is sponsored by Print Supplies Donegal.
Okay, now we welcome on to the programme. MEP, Fianna Fáil MEP Billy Kelleher. Thanks very much for taking your time to speak to us this morning, Billy. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Right, okay. It's hard to know how to take this. I mean, obviously, when you see the mock-ups on Russian TV and they're carried in mostly the tabloids today, it's very easy to dismiss this as nothing but propaganda. But at the same time, we are in a pretty delicate situation in Europe and effectively globally. What's your reaction been to this associate of Putin talking of attacks on the British Isles in inverted commas?
Well, night after night on Russian state TV, you have this situation whereby they are encouraging Russia to, start a nuclear war to strike at the heart of the United Kingdom, bombing from, ships in the Atlantic Ocean. And now we have the most recent case of they just saying that they could literally wipe out, Ireland and the UK with a missile strike. Undersea. So all of these things are done though with the acquiescence of the Kremlin. Bear in mind, Russian state television is not independent. It operates for the Kremlin. It's operating for Putin. So all these things are done with the encouragement and the tacit support of President Putin. Bearing in mind, we have to, at the very least, condemn what is being said on this television. And I believe that the Irish government should call in the Russian ambassador and just put it very clear that this is wholly unacceptable. Bearing in mind, we are not at war with Russia, and at the same time, we have this Putin propagandist every night on state television threatening to wipe out Ireland.
Yeah, I think some people speaking on behalf of Russia have said, look, this is an editorial decision by whomever puts this show together, but that doesn't really hold water, does it? Because this is very little would be broadcast on this TV channel we're talking of without Putin or his team signing off on it. So, he is pulling the strings, or is at least complicit in this type of messaging.
Yes, well, it's Russia One TV. It is very close to the Kremlin. Some of the presenters, Dmitry Kiselyov, is a friend of President Putin. He was put into this TV channel some years ago for the purpose of putting forward the Kremlin's political view. So he's a propagandist, and anything he says is being said with the absolute support of President Putin. And, when you are talking about nuclear strikes, when you are encouraging the entire population, bearing in mind that the Russian people only see these television stations. There's no free media in Russia. So the vast majority of people believe, that that if it's being said, it should be done. And certainly that is an issue of real concern. And while I do not believe that tomorrow morning the Kremlin or the Russian forces will start a nuclear war and, start bombing European cities, it must be said that this is unacceptable because it is threatening a nation that's not at war with Russia.
Yeah, quite. So we'd be collateral damage, so to speak. But really, in the wider scale of things, there's propaganda going on all over the place, though obviously not at this, what we're seeing here. Really, though, should we not be more focused on the fact that we as Europeans are actually funding Russia's war? That whilst with one hand we've been, obviously supportive of the Ukrainians, we have with the other put our own interests, i.e. our use of gas and oil, ahead of the lives of Ukrainians. We are pumping literally billions of euro into Putin's war chest, facilitating this awful situation, or helping to at least.
Yes, I fully agree, being truthful. I have called for a long time for a full embargo on Russian fossil fuels. They have an embargo now on coal. They're moving to discuss the issue around oil, and I also want them to absolutely wean ourselves off gas. In fact, it should be done already at this stage. Bear in mind, about $600 million US dollars are transferred to the Russian Gazprom account every day, which is effectively funding the war machine. So I am very much in favour of an immediate withdrawal of purchasing gas from Russia. This is the only way that you can cripple the Russian economy. It's fully dependent on exports of fossil fuels, and they are primarily going to Europe. We've had this issue debated in the Parliament. We've passed a resolution. Unfortunately, some countries, and Germany have called out on a number of occasions as well. Germany, while it is quite dependent on Russian gas, I believe its economy is capable of readjusting very quickly to purchase gas from other countries.
But I mean, obviously, we don't think there's going to be any veto on this vote, but there are other countries that are, Hungary springs to mind, that are particularly reliant, that will look for a longer period of time for that transition. Again, given the situation that we're in, is that right? Is that fair on the Ukrainian people?
Well, as I said, I believe that we should have stopped the purchase of gas already. But I mean, the difficulty is that you will need unanimity, agreement to bring about this particular sanction. So, if countries need additional time, well, then maybe there can be flexibility. But the less gas we buy off Russia every day diminishes its capacity to fund the war. I would clearly like all gas to be stopped from being purchased, but some countries will not accept that and will veto that particular embargo. So in the meantime, we should just encourage all countries, and particularly, as I said, Germany, which purchases huge volumes of gas every day from Russia. And I'm quite definite that they could source gas elsewhere in the short and medium term as well. So that would diminish Russia's financial capabilities to fund the criminal war in Ukraine.
All right, listen, thanks very much for your time this morning. I appreciate it. That's Billy Kelleher, Fianna Fáil MEP, 086 60 25,000. Talk in the media about Ireland being wiped out by Russia. A caller is a taxi driver. The caller is a taxi driver who had children in his car, very upset and worried about being killed in an attack on Ireland, who've enough worry as it is with all the micro issues and everything else. The less said in the media about this, the better, as it's is causing a lot of anxiety. I get that. I remember when I was a young person, probably the same as the people that you're talking about there, during the I think it was the Cold War, I don't know. But anyway, we were on the precipice. And remember too, when the iodine tablets were sent out by government, Mary Harney was behind that. I remember saying to my parents, "Well, what are these tablets for?" And they were, "Do you explain?" I don't know what the right thing to do at that time was. Do you explain what they're for? Why you might have to take them, or what? I don't know. It's very difficult in this world now to manage the conversation. Depending on the age of the children, they are going to be accessing all manner of things on TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram. Maybe we need to have the conversation and say, well, this is the reality. This is what's likely, not what you may be seeing on your own social media in your bedroom at night, worried, stiff. There's no right or wrong way. But I think we have to find a way to talk to young people to help them process it all. But I take your point fully. I understand it. I feel like at that time, as I mentioned, I was that young person worried about a nuclear war, and yet here we are again. A caller says, regarding the nuclear strike in Ireland, we have to be very careful listening to all these unfounded and exaggerated reports coming out of Russia. Tony Blair said that London would be attacked with weapons of mass destruction, all proving to be false. Thousands of innocent people died in Iraq. Another, why are farmers getting extra money for silage if cattle are causing so much methane? That's supposedly bad for the environment, yet people have to pay more for coal. Well, I suppose it's to make sure that they have a somewhat sustainable feed heading through the winter, I imagine. All right, so 086 60 25,000. Your views on all of that? Our next guest joins us in a couple of minutes.
They say you should have your second baby first, because with your second baby, you'll have learned what to do, what not to do, what's best for baby and best for you. Like the Loopy Loo range from Lidl. Everything your baby needs, including award-winning nappies from only 99 cent. When you know what to do, Loopy Loo. Available exclusively at Lidl. More for you. See our full range at lidl.ie/Loopy Loo.
There was a monster who lived in the trees, in the house that would rattle and shake in the breeze. It was cold and small, with a terrible leak that would drip on her head and her hands and her beak. She needed it fixed and all in one batch because she had an egg that was ready to hatch. So she went to the credit union for a renovation loan and got new windows, insulation, and extended her home. Monster loans from the credit union. Imagine more. Loans are subject to approval. Terms and conditions apply. If you do not meet the repayments on your loan, your account will go into arrears. This may affect your credit rating, which may limit your ability to access credit in the future. Credit unions in the Republic of Ireland are regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Are you ready for a role or a career with one of Ireland's leading food companies? Due to a further developed business base in Donegal, Glanbia are looking for a door-to-door milk agent to service the Ballybuffet, Stranorlar, Killygordon, Castlefin, Drumkeen and Glenfin areas. To apply for this exciting role, forward your CV to pburns@glanbia.ie. That's PBYRNES at glanbia.ie or call 087 2533 054.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Gatwick's back. You can now fly daily to London Gatwick with Aer Lingus, the perfect gateway to explore South London. Ireland West Airport. You're flying.
This morning will be dry apart from isolated showers, some brighter sunny spells, but overall cloudy with patchy outbreaks of rain and drizzle developing in the west coast, moving inland during the afternoon and evening, feeling mild and humid with highest temperatures of 13 to 16 degrees with just light westerly breezes. And that's going to be the trend, it seems, throughout the course of the day and even into the weekend. We could see temperatures hitting the low 20s. All right, now back to topics. Louise Bayliss is co-founder, spokesperson of Spark. That stands for Single Parents Acting for the Rights of Kids. And Louise, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us today.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Right, are we going to have a particular focus on the issue of child maintenance, the amount, if it's paid at all? Do we really know? Because, you know, I think lots of people listening to this programme will know someone in their family who's struggling to maybe make ends meet. It's a constant battle to try and get one parent to provide some financial support for their own child. Do we know the extent of what's going on? I wonder, Louise.
Yeah, no, that's the problem. We don't really know the extent of what's going on. There's no central agency, so there's nobody recording how much is being awarded, what's the average amount per child, and more importantly, if it's being paid. And that has been the problem for a long time. We're asking parents to go in and out of court to look for maintenance orders, but once you get a maintenance order, that's really the start of your battle. It's then to try to get it enforced. And again, a long-standing battle getting those in and out of court. So what we did in Spark was we undertook to do a survey because there isn't that data available. We undertook to do a survey and we asked parents to complete like how much they're getting, if they're getting it, if there's arrears, if there's not arrears, and if they didn't get it, why are they not looking for it? And it came out with some startling results.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, well, there's only 35% of people were actually getting maintenance without any arrears. So just literally just over 1 in 3. And almost 60% of people have either significant arrears and have just given up hope and have stopped looking for it, or never looked for it in the first place. So that's a hugely significant number of people not doing it. And then there's only about 9% of people who have significant arrears who are still trying to go through the courts to get it. So really and truly, the idea that 60% of children are not getting any maintenance, and they're more likely to be living in poverty. We know children in lone parent households are 6 times more likely to live in consistent poverty. And this money that they're owed could make a significant difference in their childhood.
You know, and all situations are different, but this makes relationships very, very complicated as well. You know, you can imagine a situation whereby the parent who is supposed to be paying maintenance, you know, is an angel. They're with the child maybe at a weekend or whatever, and you know, the child probably rightly thinks they're the best in the world, but the other parent who's perhaps maybe doing the heavy lifting on rearing the child is struggling to make ends meet. And then you have this emotional tussle as do you call it out and get involved in the relationship with your child and the other. Do you know, there's such a human element to it, really.
There's a hugely human element to it. And even the fact that it's being conducted through the courts by their very nature are adversarial. There's a winner and a loser, and in family relationship matters there shouldn't be winners and losers. I mean, it should all be in the best interest of the children. So we would strongly recommend that it comes out of court. I mean, the minute you issue a summons for child maintenance and social welfare enforce that, you must issue the summons for maintenance. But once you do that, that's like shooting a weapon at somebody. You know, if you're a man and you think you're doing okay and suddenly you get a summons to appear before maintenance, whatever fraught relations were there that was benefiting the child, they're all upended again. So it's not in anybody's interest.
Do these orders have teeth? I mean, is it easy for someone to go in and sort of go, well, this happened and that happened and I don't have the money that I had before? Like, you know, if an order is made, I wonder if there is an actual goodwill to follow it, how easy it is to avoid the order.
It's very easy to avoid the order. And I'm always reluctant to do programs like this because if there are people paying, I don't want to discourage them from paying. But I would always say do it's in the best interest of your children. But very much so, it's the order is the start of the process. If somebody decides they don't want to pay, there's very little can be done. You can go back and forward to bring them in and out of court, but you need to know where they're living. They need to turn up. If they don't turn up, a bench warrant issues. But then once the bench warrant issues, the guards don't really execute them because there's no prosecuting guard. It's different to criminal cases. So it's very long-winded. And as I said, like 36% of people are owed significant arrears and have chosen to just walk away.
Just know they're not worth the hassle or something, and that's just terrible. The fundamental thing here, though, is our attitude to the welfare of children in this country, because this is not really about mums or dads as such. This is about really making sure that a child has enough to not be in poverty. That should be enough for us to say, right, we have to sort this out one way or other. So our attitude is actually embarrassing, really, that we are allowing more children that should be in poverty to be in poverty.
That's exactly it. I mean, and this is an easy fix. This isn't asking for the state to provide for money. But what we are saying is if there was enforced maintenance, it could free up other valuable resources for children where parents may not have the resources to do them. So what we'd be looking for is like a minimum essential standard of living for every child. Where another parent can step in and take some of the lifting, that's great. And where they can't, there's resources then available so that no child is going to bed living in poverty. And when you think of the stats, that 6 one-parent households are 6 times more likely to live in consistent poverty, there's something seriously wrong. And one of the keys to helping that could be maintenance, and why has nothing been done on it.
And you say could be, and I understand you saying that, but we do know, because research has been done, that it would have the impact on lifting a large proportion of children out of poverty if maintenance was paid as it should be, as instructed, as is determined to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, the research is that poverty in lone parent households would drop by 50% if maintenance was paid. That's huge. And not only would that 50% be lifted out of poverty, what you would hope is then social welfare resources could be then directed to children who do need it. So hopefully there'd even be a higher reduction in child poverty. It is a child's rights thing. It's not about, as you rightly said, mums or dads. It is about children. And it's time society takes a view of we need to step in and make sure these children are supported. The relationship breakdown is separate to what's the right thing for children.
And it's not like in a business where this can be unionized. What we have is thousands upon thousands of individuals in these types of situations, and 2 or 3 might text into this program, but they don't. I mean, they have through you a voice. Don't get me wrong. I'm not in any way undermining that, but there's thousands of people struggling and stressed out individually. If they were a collective. If they were a collective, people would go, hold on, no way. So many people are affected like this is all completely unacceptable.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. And the other side of it is we're hampered as well by the in-camera rule. We're not allowed to talk about how much the order was for or how much we're owed. Like if I told you today what my court order was and if I'm owed money, I would be held in contempt of court. So there's that barrier as well, because it is all in camera, that you can't even discuss it. So it is very much hidden in the private domain, but it shouldn't be hidden in the private domain when it's a children's rights issue.
All right, the system can't hinder single parents either. This caller says, I get maintenance for my 3 children. I also work part-time and I'm also on job seekers, and they'd all take €34 per child due to means testing, so I can only come out with €20 per child. Now, that's not exactly what we're talking about here, but if we're asking individuals to get it right, okay.
It is part of it.
The government has to get their bit right as well if we're asking.
Because like when it is being paid, at least let it go towards the children. And in the UK, they have very much taken that approach, that it's a tool to lift children out of poverty. And when it's paid, they don't assess it as family means if somebody's on social welfare. And one of the other benefits of paid child maintenance is that what we have found through research as well is that fathers who pay for their children are more likely to have regular contact with their children and more often. So it's not just poverty, but it's also about relationship building. It's an awful expression, but I say it as the pay-per-view maintenance.
Okay. Single parents acting for the rights of kids, that's Spark, and people can check it out on social media website, I presume, as well. Louise Bayliss, thank you very much for joining us. I just wonder what party or what individuals politically elected are going to take it on. Because you look at this, if you're a politician, you look at this and go, well, where's the votes? And unfortunately, that's kind of the world we live in.
To be fair, Sinn Féin have last week or the week before, 2 weeks ago, they did introduce their child maintenance service and their proposals for it. So they are looking to do something, but we need everybody to be involved in this.
Okay, fair enough. Listen, thank you very much for your time this morning. All right, take care. Louise Bayliss there, co-founder of Sparks. Have you on that? 086 60 25,000. This caller says the Irish government and media have been doing nothing but spouting out anti-Russian propaganda the last few months. It would be the price of them if the Russians landed here and took them all out. Yeah, I mean, what's happening in Ukraine is absolutely devastating. I mean, the loss of life, whatever about armies, but the loss of life is just catastrophic. Homes destroyed, businesses destroyed, infrastructure destroyed, the country destroyed, people being bombed and shot, raped. I mean, anti-Russia propaganda, that's talking about what they're doing. Another caller says the Russian broadcast didn't mention Ireland only. The British Isles, they are not stupid with geography. Britain shouldn't be threatening them. Yeah, well, they said that this is where it could be detonated. They're not after. They wouldn't be after Donegal or Ireland. It's to cause devastation across those land masses, and then for that to sort of weaken as it approached Central Europe. A targeted attack, but again, incredibly unlikely to happen. A caller says the Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael politicians that are never slow to appear on Highland are conspicuous by their absence to explain their support for the excessive carbon taxes and fuel poverty, while the main environmental culprits are the data centres that are backed to the hilt by government. In other words, big business matters more than low income constituents. And it kind of came in, that carbon increase yesterday on a bank holiday Monday, kind of under the radar. Your price of coal is going up, your price of oil is going up. Right, okay. Morning, Greg. In regards to Katie Taylor fighting in Croke Park, I have mixed emotions. I don't think she will ever relive the atmosphere and result that she achieved in New York. Having family members there, they said it was amazing. I would worry if results didn't go her way in Ireland. It would be such a disappointment for her. So I think go out on the top, Katie. You've done yourself in Ireland proud. Well, look, the way big bouts like this happen, it's trilogy fights, right? So from a commercial perspective, the promoters would love her to come over to Ireland, fight, lose, and then go to Puerto Rico, or it to be really close in Ireland and have one more in Puerto Rico. That is kind of what the money people are going to be thinking. I don't think she's got any intention of retiring, and I can't see anyone out there for her to fight that would sort of get the same. But there was like 7,000 or 8,000 Irish fans amongst the 19 in Madison Square Gardens. 80,000 people screaming the roof of Croke Park. I think that would surpass Madison Square Gardens for her. I don't know. I think we'll ask someone who knows her better than I might, because I don't know her at all, what they might think. What they think. Okay, it is the 9 till noon show. That was our first hour under our belt. Stay right where you are. Where Community Garda Information, they're looking for they have details of crime and how you might be able to help in solving it. We also are going to be talking about the Katie Taylor fight. We're going to be previewing the Northern Ireland elections and so on and so forth. Plenty to come. Stay where you are. Back after the news and obituary notices.
At Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, we are now operating out of one new state-of-the-art showroom in Donegal Town. And we invite you to visit our new 5,000 square foot Donegal Town showroom to discover the latest eye-catching designs. Remember, at Cherrymore, you're dealing directly with the manufacturer, which means high-quality kitchens at factory prices. Start planning your dream kitchen or bedroom by calling Cherrymore on 074 9725 822. Cherrymore, 25 years delivering value, quality and service all over Ireland. Wet n Wild, your one-stop shop for water sports, is fully stocked with all the leading brands of wetsuits, bodyboards, kayaks, paddleboards, scuba gear, swimwear, dry robes, tow floats, UV protection, life jackets, sunglasses, buoyancy aids, picnic sets, cool boxes, stoves, cool bags, barbecues and beach windbreaks. So if you're on, in, under or beside the water this summer, Wet n Wild can keep you safe and looking good. Donegal Baltanya Arts Festival presents Eat Well to Live Well, cookery demonstration and talk in the Regional Cultural Centre Letterkenny this Thursday, 5th of May. Join Pauline Sugru and the Wild Garlic Table, accompanied by Senior Dietitian Anne-Marie Lee of the HSE. Pauline will demonstrate how to create delicious, fresh and nutritious meals using naturally, locally sourced ingredients, while Anne-Marie will be our guide on how to eat well to live well. That's the Regional Cultural Centre Letterkenny this Thursday, 5th at 11 a.m. Booking on 074 9129 186. This event is funded by Healthy Ireland.
New this week in Home Store and More. All Hotel Collection duvet sets are half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price Hotel Collection duvet sets are gone, they're gone. Also, all mattress protectors and all kitchen textiles are still half price. But when all our half price mattress protectors and all our half price kitchen textiles are gone, they're definitely gone. Order online before 2 p.m. for next day delivery, or drop by your local Home Store and More. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. Investigations are ongoing after a man died following a crash last night near Buncrana. The man in his 40s was pronounced dead at the scene. 2 others were hospitalised. One of those, a woman in her 30s, is said to be in a serious condition. The two-vehicle collision occurred at around 10:50 p.m. in the Meena Ward area on the mountain road between Buncrana and Carndonagh. Superintendent Gretty Sheridan is appealing for information.
So what I'm looking for this morning is if anybody in the area has any information in relation to the accident, to contact Buncrana Garda Station on 9320002 or on the Garda Confidential line 1800 666 111. Our job at this stage is to try and establish what happened, and our forensic collision investigator will be there this morning carrying out an investigation. The road remains closed and will be closed until probably lunchtime to enable us to gather as much evidence as we can.
The Russian embassy in Dublin says nuclear war must never be unleashed. It's after state-backed television in Russia broadcast clips showing Ireland being destroyed by a nuclear weapon being detonated off the coast of Donegal. The report aired on Russia 1, mocked up footage of nuclear torpedoes wiping out Ireland and Britain. It also falsely claimed British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has threatened a nuclear strike on Russia. Russia's Irish embassy told the Irish Examiner that the official position of Russia has always been that there can be no winners in a nuclear war. Security analyst Senator Tom Clonan says the government should call the ambassador in.
The concept of having an ambassador and a channel of communication is something that goes right back to medieval times, even during the most bitter conflicts in the past. So I don't think we're at that point yet, but certainly Mr. Filatov should be called in, and we should be talking to him and asking him, to confirm, is this a plan?
The campaign is ongoing in a bid to make changing places toilet facilities mandatory in public buildings. In Donegal, there are no registered changing places toilets and only 17 nationwide. A public consultation is currently underway by the Department of Housing with a view towards altering building regulations to make such amenities mandatory in public buildings. Donegal mother Claire McDavid, whose 5-year-old son Rory has a disability, says buildings having a disabled toilet is not enough.
A changing bench is so important, and not just a baby changing bench, because that only meets certain needs. Housing facilities, things like that is a necessity for families like ours and many, as I say, throughout the country. So it's just something that we're calling for, because, as I say, whilst the building regulations require for disabled facilities, they're not actually entirely suitable for many, and it makes days out very difficult for us.
The government will be considering plans to cut college fees this morning under new proposals to reduce the cost of third-level education. Higher Education Minister Simon Harris also wants to see the grant system reformed so that more part-time students can access financial support. Education writer John Walsh says changes to college funding has been a long time coming.
The Minister has promised that he would be the Minister who would take or get final decisions taken on the funding of higher education, because that funding can has been kicked down the road so often, it's run out of space. So a decision really has been long overdue on the funding issue.
Donegal women are being urged to attend their breast check appointments. Figures from breast checks show just 42% of women in the county have attended an initial appointment. The service is being extended in Letterkenny over the coming 2 months, during which it will operate 5 days a week. Chair of Donegal Action for Cancer Care, Betty Holmes, says it's vital that women avail of the life-saving service.
The UCC are calling very strongly and passionately on the women. There's serious issues, and we must remember that the life that you save could be your own. So if you actually receive an appointment from Breast Check, please attend. The unit in Letterkenny will be open 5 days a week for the next 2 months. Make sure that you attend if you get your appointment.
Weather nice, some brighter sunny spells today, but overall cloudy with patchy outbreaks of rain and drizzle developing. Mild and humid with highest temperatures of 13 to 16 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning. The obituary notices for this Tuesday morning, May the 3rd. The death has occurred of Hugh Rogers, Mulladuff. His remains will be reposing in McGlynn's funeral home from this evening at 6 o'clock, with rosary at 9 o'clock, followed by removal to his own home. House strictly private at the request of the deceased. Funeral Mass on Thursday morning at 11 o'clock in the Star of the Sea Church, Annagry, with interment afterwards in the new cemetery. The death has occurred of Agnes Breslin, née Mulroney, Ballymckill, Frosses, County Donegal. Remains reposing privately for family, close friends and neighbours at her home from today and tomorrow at a time to be confirmed. Removal on Thursday for 12 o'clock funeral mass at the Church of the Blessed Virgin Mary Frosses, with interment in the adjoining cemetery. House private on the morning of the funeral, please. Family flowers only, donations in lieu to the Heart Foundation, care of any family member or John McGuyan, funeral directors. Agnes's funeral mass can be viewed on mcmmedia.tv. The death has taken place of Kevin Doherty, Harbour Road, Bombay, and formerly of Ballina, County Mayo. His remains will repose at his home from 11 o'clock this morning. Rosary nightly at 8 o'clock, house private after Rosary until 11 a.m. Funeral Mass in St Mary's Church, Derrybeg on Thursday morning at 11 o'clock, with interment afterwards in Maharagallen Cemetery. The funeral mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty, Funeral Director Facebook page, and on the Chop Pubblewara webcam. The death has taken place of Mary Canavan, née Sweeney, formerly Strelongford, Drumkeen and London, England. Mary's remains will be reposing at the family home at Knockbrack, Letterkenny from today, with wake from 11 a.m. until 10 p.m. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:15, going to St Patrick's Church, Drumkeen for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers if desired to the Irish Cancer Society, care of any family member. Family time on the morning of the funeral, please. The death has taken place of Christina O'Kane, née Gallagher, 10 Croghan View, Strabane, reposing at her home. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 11:25 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Melmount at 12 noon, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers, please, to Strabane and District Caring Services, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Mrs Elizabeth Thompson, Tomna Wood, Ballindrate, Lifford. Remains are reposing at her residence. Funeral leaving there this afternoon at 1:30 for service at 2 o'clock in Clonlee Parish Church, with burial afterwards in the family plot in the adjoining churchyard. Family flowers only, donations if desired to Clonlee Parish Church, care of Gibson Funeral Directors. The death has occurred of Leo Armstrong, 18 Muldonna Cottages, Forglen, County Derry. His remains are reposing at his late home. Funeral from his late home this morning, leaving at 10:30 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Peter and St Paul's Church, Forglen. Interment immediately afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Bernie Doherty, née McCluskey, 23 St Columba's Avenue, Buncrana, and formerly of Dungiven. Remains reposing overnight at St Mary's Church, Cockhill. Requiem Mass will take place this morning at 11 o'clock, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Patricia Quigg, née Murray, 4 Galway Court Strabane and formerly of Donamana, reposing at her home. Fiona leaving her home tomorrow morning at 9:25 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Melmount at 10 o'clock, interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. And the death has occurred of Kathleen McPartland, née McLaughlin, 41 at Cornshell Fields, Steelstown, Derry, and formerly of Tubin, Burnfoot. Her remains are reposing at her home. Removal this morning to St Mary's Church, Fawn, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Kathleen's Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time, please, before the funeral today. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Society of St Vincent de Paul, care of any family member or Murphy Funeral Directors. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
This is your guide to smart glasses. Smart glasses often look like regular glasses, and some of them have built-in cameras. Even if you don't wear smart glasses, it's helpful to know what it looks like when someone who is wearing them is taking a photo or video. The person wearing smart glasses usually has to take an action, such as tapping the capture button to activate the camera. When the smart glasses are recording, you'll see an LED light on the frame. So now you know a bit more about smart glasses.
A message from Meta and SELR Luxottica.
All right, coming up with the programme very shortly, the Community Garda Information item. We're also going to be speaking about a worrying amount of women, particularly women, not turning up for important health screening. We're going to be reflecting more too on Katie Taylor's performance at the weekend. That and so much more besides. 08660 25,000 if there's something you want to talk about. Raymond via email said, if you look at American history, the one historical constant is the US moving from one war to the next, seemingly without end. When the Soviet Union collapsed, the Eastern Military Warsaw Pact disbanded, but NATO did not disband, and one must ask, why did it not disband? The US and NATO gave its word that NATO would not expand eastwards, then NATO expanded aggressively to the east. In the US, there are the so-called neoconservatives or neocons who are always advocating wars of aggression, but putting everything in terms of expanding democracy. The American CIA withdrew the democratically elected Ukrainian government in 2014 and forced the Ukrainian president into exile in Russia. The US then installed their own man, some chocolate magnate, and then Putin chose to react, and today there's a major war as a direct result. And yep, that is the politics, and there's money in war as well. That being said, the absolute devastation being reaped on innocent civilians, harder to sort of explain. Just listening to you read Letterkenny Hospital, it's not a disgrace, the care of patients. My husband was scheduled an op on the 7th of January, went for pre-op on the 5th, landed outside hospital to be told that it cannot be done due to COVID, no cancellation beforehand, got 3 letters after to say will be rescheduled ASAP, but every time I ring, I'm passed from pillar to post to be told the consultant is off, and this is an op I've waited on for 12 months. Now they say they will refer him to the Mater in Dublin, what will take another 8 to 10 weeks. This is a complete nightmare. So unfair to a pensioner who has paid their taxes in this country all of their lives. We're hearing so many of those types of cases. Another wake up, people of Donegal. Stop giving out about the hospital. It is beyond their control. We are the poor relation who get scraps from the table, who keep rolling over and taking it. Sligo has all the funding services for a population half the size of Donegal, even including Leitrim, still comes nowhere near. We have least amount of consultants for our population size. How can anyone do a good job when unfunded and underserviced? Another one here on a separate issue from Mary. This is on air quality. The amount of heavy-duty vehicles on our roads with their exhaust blasting out more and more poison into the air. Also, the buses, more poison. Are all government personnel going to work on bicycles? By the way, why are there so many aircraft over North Inishowen these days from early 5 a.m. in the morning? Thanks, Mary. Don't know the answer to the aircraft one. It is a flight path over Inishowen. But on the issue of cars, it's somewhere in the papers today. about our government's ministers. They get driven around in fancy cars that we pay for. 17 of them. How many would you say are fully electrical? Now, don't forget, these are the people that are pushing through bans on turf and what have you. How many would you say have zero emissions out of 17 ministerial cars? 2 of them, just 2. 15 of them are gas guzzlers. And that's what the cabinet are driving around in. Why aren't they in electric cars? If the environment is so important, if carbon tax went up yesterday. So we pay the increase in the carbon tax for the minister's diesel cars. Isn't that crazy? That's what, and they're telling us they're making decisions that are making life unlivable for some, but they're driving around in petrol and diesel cars. I find that remarkable. I'll read on a little bit here, seeing as Mary texted in, and it just twigged my interest in this article. Any new car bought by the state should be an electric vehicle when possible. It's been claimed. It's not the case right now. Can you believe it? It comes as new figures show that just 2 of the 17 motors used to ferry around ministers are fully electric. This is despite the government pushing for people to switch to electric vehicles with a target of having 1 million EVs on our roads by 2030. Figures released from the Department of Justice show that of the 17 cars used to drive ministers, just 2 are fully electric, 1 is hybrid, and the remaining 14 are diesel. 5 of the ministerial cars are Audi A6s, while 7 others are high-spec BMW cars, which are all diesel-powered. The fleet also includes a diesel-run bus. The latest cars purchased for the fleet included a diesel Audi A6, bought in 2019, along with a hybrid Lexus bought the same year. In 2021, the Garda, which runs the ministerial fleet, bought 2 fully electric Audi A6s. The data was released to Social Democrat co-leader Catherine Murphy after a parliamentary question. So whilst we're being told what we must do, they themselves are driving around in diesel cars for the most part. Okay, that's do as we say, but please don't do as we do.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday the 3rd of May. You're playing on the brown sheet. The reference number is S7. It's game number 18. The numbers are 67, 43, 2, 50, 6, 26, 65, 24, 87, and finally 69. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Fly with Loganair from City of Derry to Edinburgh and immerse yourself in the live shows and street food of the Fringe Festival this summer, with discounts for children aged 11 and under.
Fly with me, I want to take you there, precious moments of this journey, to where homeward bound again.
Book now at loganair.co.uk. 15 kilo luggage allowance as standard.
Print your First Communion photos at McGee's Chemist and you'll get a free large 10x8 photo of your choice. With photos from just 12 cents, you can print in store or use the McGee's Photo Prints app and have them delivered direct to your door. Preserve all your best First Communion moments or great memories from any big occasion with McGee's Chemist Letterkenny, where the best costs less. Terms and conditions apply. Ask in store for details.
Is your Skoda a little older? Pre-loved, perhaps? What adventures, I wonder, did it have in the past? Another family, another life, bright city lights, or a quiet country existence seeing Ireland's best sights? We don't really need your car's story. With a Skoda service, you get a complete vehicle health check, genuine Skoda parts, and free roadside assistance for 12 months.
Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 07497 21396 or visit dmgmotors.ie. The CFC Interior stock disposal sale ends this weekend. Due to overstock, an incredible £1.5 million worth of stock must go. Don't miss our highest ever discount on selected ranges across all departments. The stock disposal sale at CFC Interiors, Derry, Cookstown and Abbey Centre.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Tuesday morning, which means it's time for our community Garda Information item. And we welcome into studio today, welcome back into studio, Garda Sean Sweeney from the Buncrana station. Sean, thanks for joining us.
Morning, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Right, okay, so we'll start with a recap of the appeal as it relates to the fatal collision overnight.
Yeah, this occurred at Mina Ward near Buncrana, County Donegal. So this is Monday evening, 2nd of May at approximately 10:50 p.m. The collision involved two vehicles on the mountain road between Buncrana and Carndonagh. The driver of one vehicle, a male aged in his 40s, was pronounced dead at the scene. His body's been removed to the mortuary at Letterkenny University Hospital. The driver and passenger of the second vehicle were taken to the hospital also for treatment of their injuries. The condition of the passenger, a female aged in her 30s, is described as serious. So the mountain road is the R244. It's currently closed between Buncrana and Carndonagh, and the scene is preserved for technical examination by a Garda forensic collision investigators. The diversions are in place at Dumfries and Churchland Quarters. So again, Garda and Buncrana are appealing for witnesses to come forward and to those with dashcam footage to make it available. Anyone, any information at all, can contact Buncrana on 93-20540 or the confidential line on 1800 666 111.
All right, and an appeal, another road traffic incident, this time on the Lochsalt Road.
Yeah, this occurred on Sunday, May the 1st at approximately 9:40 p.m. There was a report received of a collision at Meanformal, Glen on the Lochsalt Road. Gardaí attended the scene where one car was involved. So the male driver, who's in the late teens, was taken to Letterkenny University Hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. But a female passenger, also in her late teens, was taken to LUH as well. But her injuries are serious and she was then transferred to Beaumont Hospital where she's in a critical condition. So again, we appeal to road users who travelled on the Lochsalt Road during that time to contact Gardaí in Milford on 9153060. And they witnessed the collision, and also appealed to anybody who travelled that stretch of road between 9 p.m. and 9:45 p.m. who had dashcam footage to make it available to Gardaí.
Okay, now on to our next appeal. This is a burglary at a business premises in Letterkenny?
Yeah, this happened at a business premises on the Port Road between 5 p.m. on Friday the 29th of April and 9:15 p.m. on Saturday the 30th. A window to the rear of the property was smashed and entries gained to the building. A substantial amount of various pieces of jewellery was stolen. So we appeal to anybody who may have observed any suspicious activity of any sort in the area between Friday night and Saturday morning to contact Gardaí in Letterkenny on 9167100 or again the confidential line on 1800 666 111. And should anybody come across any jewellery for sale in suspicious circumstances, please ask them to alert Gardaí immediately.
Yeah, on that one you can be the eyes and ears of the Gardaí and the business owners there as well. That's an awful loss for them. Right, okay, now we are talking about the theft of a vehicle and criminal damage, is that right?
That's right, yeah. This occurred in Carndonagh area between Sunday the 1st of May and Monday the 2nd of May. So Gardaí were contacted in early hours on Monday morning, alerted to the fact that the Jeep, a white Volkswagen Tiguan, the parcel registration of 202D75, had been stolen between 8:30 p.m. on Sunday evening and 1:30 a.m. to 2 a.m. on Monday morning from an address at One Park, Glentahor, Carndonagh. The Jeep was later located by Gardaí. It was on fire at 2:45 a.m. on Monday morning on the Ballylosky Road in Carndonagh. We appeal to anybody who believes they may have observed the Jeep in question on the road at any stage between 8:30 p.m. and 2:45 a.m. to contact Gardaí in Buncrana on 9320540. We also appeal to anybody who travelled on the Ballylosky Road between 2 a.m. and 2:45 a.m. who had dashcam footage to make it available to Gardaí.
Yeah, and it's a trend now. Obviously, all the appeals are going to involve dashcam footage because they record on a loop. And I mean, you know, they say a picture paints 1,000 words. Obviously, you know, and people make their dash cams available. The Gardaí can download the footage on their behalf. So you're not asking people to, you know, scroll through all the footage. If they're there or about at that time and it hasn't been erased, make it available to the guards. It's invaluable, I imagine.
Absolutely. And yeah, like that footage downloaded and then it's up to us to go through it. So, you know, we try to not going to inconvenience people as much as possible.
All right, okay. Right, now, criminal damage at Meadowbank, Letterkenny.
Yeah, this occurred on Tuesday the 26th of April between 8 p.m. and 11:30 p.m. The resident of the house left home at 8 p.m. only discovered upon the return that 2 windows of the house had been smashed with a brick. It's not believed any attempt was made to enter the property, so appealed to the residents in Meadowbank Park to contact Gardaí if they saw or heard anything in the area on that date between 8 p.m. and 11:30 p.m. and may assist in the investigation. Again, contact Letterkenny on 9167
Okay, now Milford Gardaí are investigating criminal damage.
Yeah, this is an incident happened at Marble Hull in Dunfanaghy on Thursday the 28th of April between 9 p.m. and 10:05 p.m. Car was parked along the roadside. The owner went for a walk on the beach. When they returned, they saw that the car was keyed on the passenger door and the passenger side back panel. No attempt was made to gain entry to the car. If anybody observed any suspicious activity in the area on that date, or if they have any information they might assist, we asked them to contact Milford on 9153060.
Okay, don't want to see that, do we, at all? Okay, now there is a particular focus at the moment by the road section of the Guards, all Gardaí really effectively, as it relates to the wearing of seatbelts.
Yeah, we'll be conducting checkpoints over the coming days and weeks, and the focus will be in detection non-wearing of seatbelts and other lifesaver offences. You must wear a seatbelt at all times, regardless of the length of your journey. So we urge people not to take unnecessary risks on the road. As a driver, you have to wear your seatbelt and ensure your passengers are wearing theirs as well. Seatbelts worn correctly can greatly reduce the risk of injury and can also save lives. Unfortunately, we also come across drivers and passengers who have their seatbelt buckle in place. They're sitting on the belt. So we urge all drivers and passengers, wear your seatbelt and wear them in the correct manner. Children must be protected by a child restraint that is appropriate to their size and weight. The RSA can offer free nationwide check it fits services for parents or guardians. It aims to put their minds at ease for the safety of the children. You can make an appointment online for the check it fit service at www.rsa.ie. You also find a wealth of information on the RSA website.
Yeah, and if you don't wear your seatbelt, it gets, you get used to it very quickly. I know, like, you can go on Amazon or eBay and buy buckles. People just buy the buckle with a view to shutting the car up effectively. I mean, it's time and time again we see that it's a lifesaver. It's not a huge inconvenience for most people to stick it on. That's the message, and you'll be keeping a tight eye on that over the next while, as you always do.
Yeah, exactly. Like, again, just urge everybody to take all the precautions.
All right, listen, thank you very much indeed, Sean. I appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you, Greg.
That was Garda Sean Sweeney of the Buncrana Garda Station there. That was the Community Garda information item. It'll be available for you on our Facebook page and the Donegal Garda Facebook page a little later on today if you wish to watch back. And it will be back with you live next week from just after the 10 o'clock news. Okay, it's time for us to take a piece of music as we approach 10:30. Here is Aha. Okay, aha there. Happy 25th wedding anniversary to Patrick, Margaret, Ferry, Moyle, Hill, Milford. Wishing you a wonderful day. Health and happiness always, with love from all the McLaughlin cousins at home and abroad. And please say a happy 16th birthday to Sean Brady Devaney in Cargary, Ballabafay, from Mum, Dad, brothers, Cahir and Niall. Thank you. It is our pleasure. Okay, we are going to be discussing relatively briefly, the Northern Ireland elections. They're coming up. The 2022 Northern Ireland Assembly elections are due to be held on the 5th of May. The former editor of the Derry Journal, Pat McCart, is going to be joining us with his views on this topic after the messages.
In the darkest times, we can struggle to find the brightness. But during darkness into light, every person has the power to be a light against the dark. Every alarm set, every step taken, every sunrise shared helps support those impacted by suicide and raises vital funds for Pieta's life-saving work. So please join Pieta and Electric Ireland for Darkness into Light on Saturday, May 7th. Sign up now at darknessintolight.ie, because everyone who runs, walks and watches the sun rise shows we're brighter together. Proudly supported by Electric Ireland.
Teagasc are holding a spring crop walk this Wednesday the 4th at 7 p.m. on the farm of P&D Killen, Labadish, Manor Cunningham, F92, K7, 29. Topics include spring and winter crop management, nutrient management and outlook for tillage. Speakers are Shay Phelan, Teagasc crop specialist, and Martin McCullough, Teagasc Donegal. All are welcome.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Euro Millions jackpot is an estimated €175 million. Play responsibly, in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Okay, hopefully it is. Now, I heard an advert there for Darkness into Light. We're going to be discussing that tomorrow. So if any of you out there have an event or something that you want promoted on the programme tomorrow, please get in touch with us. We'll be more than happy to do that for you. Caroline can be contacted on 07491 25,000, as I say, if you're organising anything. Right, so the 2022 Northern Ireland Assembly elections, they're going to be taking place on the 5th of May. If the polls on the day are aligned with the opinion polls that have been taken in the run-up to it, we're looking at big changes here. Sinn Féin could be, for the first time, the biggest party in Northern Ireland, and also too interesting that maybe, people are moving away from Sinn Féin, DUP, UUP, SDLP, and moving towards the Alliance Party. They are, in a poll I saw not so long ago, actually equal with the DUP at the moment at 18.2%. As I mentioned, Pat McCart, the former editor of the Derry Journal, and he joins us now. Good morning, Pat. Thank you very much for taking the time out today.
Morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm good. Right. I mean, how significant do you think this could be? Or really, the reality is there's not going to be a Stormont Assembly anytime soon, and it's a waste of people's time going out and vote. I'm not suggesting that, but some might feel that's where we're at.
That was a pretty cynical introduction, Greg, but I take your point exactly. I totally agree. I don't think there's going to be a Northern Ireland Assembly anytime soon, but your point is well made too. Sinn Féin, Greg, in an Irish news poll this morning, Sinn Féin are about 26%. The DUP and the Alliance are on 18.2%, locked exactly on the same. Now, okay, there's always a margin for error in polls and so on. The UUP is on 12%, the SDLP is on 10.5%, and the TUV, which I find interesting, 5.7%. One of the big things, Greg, in the north was that the DUP were losing out to the TUV and whatever, so on, that everybody was going more right-wing. It's actually turned out the opposite. A lot of people are leaving the DUP on the left and going to the Alliance. They're fed up with their sort of hardline position on things like the protocol, on gay rights, and on abortion and everything else. So all those factors come in. But if things keep going the way they're going, it will be a historic election, Greg, in the sense that it'll be the first time since the foundation of the Northern State 100 years ago that the Nationals will be the majority.
And was it not really designed to ensure that never happened?
It was, yeah. The originals, when it was set up, Greg, they looked at 9 counties and then they came up with 6 counties. And basically, the founders of the state thought, well, they had built on about 66, roughly 70% majority. And they thought that would be in perpetuity, that there would always be a unionist Protestant majority. Now that's there's a guy, I can't remember his name, I know his surname is Nolan, he's a professor. He said about 2022, the Catholic nationalist population would equal or surpass the unionist Protestant population, and he's turned out to be 100% correct.
What is your read of the surge? So the surge of the Alliance Party. Are the people of Northern Ireland changing, but there's a lag between what the public might want or the future they want and what political parties believe the public want?
Well, Greg, when you look at Northern Ireland now, Belfast is absolutely booming. Tourism it's hard to believe that it's sort of like a metamorphosis, gone from sort of shops that were sealed up, streets that were sealed up, no at night, barricades everywhere. No, go to Belfast now, it is booming. And you go to a lot of, I was up in the Ballycastle, Glens of Antrim there quite recently. It was before COVID, but every second car had a Southern registration. The North has been changed dramatically because of the Good Friday Agreement, and a lot of people like that. They don't want to go back the ways, and I think the DUP and TUV and people, a lot of supporters are now saying, look, it's time to move on. A lot of the young people, Greg, I was over in an integrated school quite recently. A lot of the young people there just don't even want to know anymore. They just want to get on with their lives.
Them and us is draining. It's draining, and it's like quicksand. I just don't think in this day and age people are consuming so much information from right around the world that type of politics. I think it's boring people.
Yeah. Well, look at what happened in the DUP. They got rid of Arlene Foster because she was considered. Imagine Arlene Foster was considered too liberal. The reason was that, and of course, well, there are other things that came into play was a lot of the DUP supporters blame her for the and the party for Boris Johnson and the whole thing, the debacle over the protocol. But she was considered too liberal. She abstained on a vote about gay conversion therapy, and that was considered too liberal.
So what politically could the future hold? The reasons why the most recent collapse of Stormont happened, that's not going away anytime soon. We don't have a system as such, do we, whereby a government could be formed whereby the DUP aren't involved. So we're heading into, once the dust settles and the votes have been counted, a long period of stalemate and more of the same.
Well, that's the way it looks, Greg, because the DUP are on record as saying that unless the protocol is amended to their satisfaction, they're not going back into government. So I don't know what terms that they would find acceptable, that it's dropped or something. Now, I've heard numerous people on saying it could be ameliorated in a way that maybe they could find acceptable, but that's a business sort of. One of the things, Greg, people seem to forget is the protocol is actually starting to work big time economically for Northern Ireland. Their exports are up. Professor Pete Sherlow was on a BBC programme quite recently. He's an expert and he's based at Liverpool University, and they've done quite a lot of research. And he said Belfast, out of all the region of the United Kingdom, Belfast is outside of London is the most successful right now.
So the DUP, as I say, kind of talking about presuming these polls play out. There has to come a point though where they will have to sit down and say, they are a political party and they want to be popular, to say that, our policies, our attitude, what we're doing is not working. Is there space there for a shift from the DUP that maybe they might say, well, maybe we need to change our view on this border down the Irish Sea as they would see it? Or, they can't keep going. Well, they won't accept, will they, a continued downward trend in popularity is really what I was trying to get at, Pat.
Greg, I think it reaches a stage they're going to have to make a pragmatic decision. Making Northern Ireland work is much more in the interests of unionism than nationalism. And if they're the ones that are ensuring that there's no return to the Stormont Assembly, if they're the one that are ensuring that there's all sorts of political upheaval, it is not in unionism's interest. So somewhere along the line, someone's going to have to pull the plug and say, wait a minute, we got to get real here. Mm-hmm. And the other, of course, I'm repeating myself as well, Greg, is if it's proving that the protocol, which, by the way, is supposed to be the bugbear for barring the return of Stormont, is proving a real economic success. The whole raison d'etre of staying out sort of disappears as well. So, and of course I should add, there can be no change in the constitutional position of Northern Ireland until the people, North and South, vote on it. So I don't see what the big problem is. There should be some way around getting around the protocol if it is such a big deal.
Yeah. I haven't really been exposed to any of the debates or what have you. I haven't consumed much of it, Pat. I'm not sure. I presume you have. What is this election being fought on, if you were to pick a couple of things out?
I was without question the protocol, but Greg, really, and I do see it, unionism is definitely ensuring there an upheaval. This is what it's about. There's fears big time that Sinn Féin is going to be the largest party, and at 26.2%, and the DUP is on 18.2%. If those figures are sort of related and sort of distilled down in an election, well, then Sinn Féin will be the biggest party, and that means symbolically, if they do, that they become Northern Ireland's first minister. That's historically major importance psychologically, in the sense that it's never happened before. It's always been a unionist majority. And that's upheaval big time. Also, the protocol, they have agreed, the British government basically did sell the unionists out. They promised them there would never be a border in the Irish Sea and so on. And Boris Johnson signed up to the protocol, which puts a border in the Irish Sea. And Dominic Cummings, who was Boris Johnson's principal advisor, was heard to say off the record he didn't really care if they pushed Northern Ireland out in the middle of the ocean and blasted it. So, like, it doesn't give unionism much of a comfort blanket that they're loved and wanted by the UK, which they are showing massive allegiance to.
Now, obviously, I think the DUP have said they will not go into power with Sinn Féin, the lead party. I think they're on the record saying that. But I'm just wondering, if the alliance...
No, they're not, and they're not on the record saying that, Greg. They're refusing to answer that question, which is a slightly different... But I'll take your point, but it's slightly different.
But say that is the case, so we could be looking at a stalemate there. We can't ignore either the growth of the Alliance Party. So if the system as it is can't be made work, we start then, do we not, having to have a conversation as to how power sharing, there's, say for instance, the Alliance, they get 20% of the vote. That can't be ignored. There has to be a system in place, or look at the system that those voices are heard at the decision-making table as well.
Yeah. Well, Greg, it's sort of, I'm not using the right word, but it's sort of a compulsory coalition in the North at the minute. Now, the DUP could decide to go into opposition. Greg, I presume what's going to happen, we'll have to see the outcome of the election, but it could be a sort of a watershed election, in the sense that things might need finally to have a real good look at. If the DUP don't fare as well, if unionism loses its majority, if Sinn Féin becomes the largest party by some considerable distance, but the caveat you always have to put in, Sinn Féin is not very transferable friendly in Northern Ireland. They always get a big first vote, primary vote, but they don't get too many votes from unionists or soft nationalists. So you always need to be careful about that. But as the polls stand this morning, they look to be well on their way to being the top party.
And does that mean then that we start talking more about border polls and what have you? Because I mean, obviously, unionism, there's a fear there that this accelerates a move in that direction. What the general appetite on the whole island of Ireland to even have that conversation is, I'm not really quite sure. But I presume we'll be hearing more of it if things play out as the polls suggest.
Well, Sinn Féin have actually downplayed it a bit, Greg, in recent times, this whole border poll. And you're on the basis, right, the war in Ukraine has taken up a lot of the airtime and the oxygen of debate. There's real concerns about that. But if you live in Northern Ireland, Greg, as in the south, what am I saying? The cost of living has rocketed. Go to any filling station, north or south these days, and ask for 20 quid's worth of fuel. See how little you get. Gone to my dear missus when I was shopping in Derry quite recently. Something like soda powder that was 99 pence, some sort of crystal powder. It's now 135. Greg, that's 35% increase
on one item
in about 3 months.
Yeah.
Look at some of the shelves apparently in shops. The diverse range of products are not there. But the other side as well, Jude, Greg, there are 200,000 people in Northern Ireland waiting for over a year for their first outpatient hospital appointment. That is deadly serious.
Yeah. But an awful lot of the things that you talk of in terms of health, and other matters, not having, an executive in place, it's hard to move those things forward, in areas of health and education and what have you. And I just wonder how long the public are going to accept that for.
Well, there's 300 million sitting waiting to be ready to spend. On a small place like Northern Ireland, 300 million would make a hell of a lot of difference, Greg. And I think a lot of people are sort of saying, over the winter, a lot of people are having to make a choice, literally, between eating and heating. No, that's not. It's a glib sort of cliched sentence or thing, but for a lot of people, it really was. Colin Eastwood, I heard him, the SDLP leader, said that he was amazed at the number of doors that he went to during when he was out canvassing. People came to the door with coats on and so on. They hadn't heating on. Greg, that is deadly. And yet I think people are getting fed up with this sort of whole constitutional issue in the politics. A lot of people, they want the bread and butter issues dealt with. The protocol and the border pool might be big issues for the politicians, but right now, on the ground, I think most people say, look, hey, we're deeply concerned about my father's appointment to the hospital, about the cost of living, about how much it's costing to put fuel into the oil tank. And, so those everyday items. And I think the protocol and the border pool might be pushed down the road, kick the can down the road, because I don't think right now they are the major issues.
Yeah, a quick word on the Green Party. I mean, given the margin of error statistically, you could argue they've got no support whatsoever, and the same could be said in the Republican. Obviously, they're driving a lot of the Green agenda, as we're seeing at the moment, but not much interest in the Green Party in this election, it seems.
Well, in the North, they're gone 2.9%, and if you consider the margin of error is 3.1, it's not exactly a great place to be, Greg, is it?
Yeah.
But but Eamon Ryan, I heard him on yesterday. He's out. There was an emergency meeting of EU ministers on regard to fuel and energy and so on. Well, he's driving the energy in the policy in the south, and I think he's really popular with a lot of people who like to burn turf. So where we go from with Eamon Ryan, but well, people before profits on 2.1% as well. So I know, and they've got Eamon McCann in the past, and I think Sean Harkin and Derry and so on.
Okay, maybe you might spare a few minutes afterwards to digest it all with us, Pat, if you don't mind.
Not at all, Greg.
It's always great to hear your informed views. Thank you so very much indeed. Pat McCart there, former editor of the Derry Journal. Have you a view? 08660 25,000, 08660 25,000, or call us on 07491 25,000. Get your phones out when it's safe to do so and have your say, like these listeners. A caller was involved in a collision with an uninsured driver. The other driver was at fault. Caller's car was a write-off, has comprehensive insurance, fully protected bonus. The insurance company would only provide a car for up to 7 days. This is outrageous. What are you paying insurance for? Good question. Minister Eamon Ryan goes to work on a bike, but a security man drives behind in a car. Yeah, you see a bit of that, all right. The West has a lot to answer for. We're funding a war with weapons to keep the war going, which is displacing millions and flooding us with people we haven't room for. Our own people are in houses falling down around them, and they can't get anything. But what do you do? If you're the leader of this country, this texter, if you're the leader of the country and you're prepared to say, or the leader of you're prepared to say, right, we're going to let Russia go through and take over the Ukraine. Okay, so you say that's the decision we're making because, we don't have any space for refugees here. You have to stand over that. You'd have to sleep at night after that. And then you'd have to prepare yourself for his further encroachment. Because if he gets to walk through Ukraine, of course, why wouldn't he? He's going to grab more land. He's got his eyes on other former USSR. Are you going to accept that? Would you accept that and say, look, we can't afford to house any of these refugees? Plough on, Vlad. Okay, and then what happens? So he's seeing the USSR, it's reformed, he's back to full power. He might see it as such. Then what? Why not take Europe? Why not encroach further? Because everyone's so afraid of his nukes that they'll allow him to do anything anyway. Then what happens? What impact might that have on our economy or poverty or homelessness? I think if we have to say, right, well, what we're doing is not right, you have to propose an alternative. What are you suggesting as an alternative to what we're doing? Because we are, as we said in the program last week, We're being invited to do our research, think for ourselves. You know, what's the alternative then? A caller says, we will want no turf if a tidal wave hits us. Look, I mean, it's a story that is going to get a bit of traction, but I mean, in reality, it's not going to happen. In relation to the man with children listening to the potential attack, when we were every week at school, there used to be rumours of the end of the world. My dad used to say, sure, the world ends for somebody every day. Yours won't be for a long time. That's it. I remember that. The end of the world, the finger was floating over the button. But I just think it's better I think it's far better for us, and I'm speaking to myself at the same time as speaking out loud, that if we speak to our young people to talk this through with them so they have an understanding, so they're not like me, to be honest with you. I used to lie in bed at night shaking, worrying about the end of the world, and I didn't really think I had anyone to talk about it when we were back in that Cold War era. I would love to have someone to have put the radio on, it been on the radio, and then for them to reassure me or talk me through it. Might have made a big difference, I would say. All right, back in a mo.
Are you going to John's wedding? Should the flowers on that weekend? There'll be sessions up and down the street all day.
Hi, Biggie Ling, Bekiol agus Crack agus Rerog agus Rulabula.
Aren't you the best man?
This ad is kindly sponsored by Sailor Bill and Sister Sarah's, Donegal Fla, Letterkenny, 6th to the 8th of May.
Aldi, home of amazing Grocery 6 offers now with up to 50% off. Mamiya Baby Wipe 64 pack was 95 cent, now 79 cent. Mamiya Nappy Size 3 56 pack was 2.99, now 2.49. Honey Glazed Roast Parsnips was 1.29, now 79 cent. Pate Selection was 1.39, now 79 cent. Hot Curry Sauces was 1.69, now 79 cent. And Okie Dokies Cheese and Onion Crisps 12 pack was 2.79, now 2.49. Sounds okie dokie to me. Aldi, every day amazing.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring half-price sale. Get up to 50% off everything in store. All kitchen and bathroom tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware, all cladding. Everything's reduced. It's our biggest ever sale. The Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring half-price sale. Stores nationwide. Sale extended until Sunday.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. This summer is going to be one of the busiest ever. Check out our summer flights to European cities such as Barcelona, Cologne and Milan with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport, you're flying.
Okay, today in the morning time at least, dry apart from the odd isolated shower, some brighter sunny spells, but overall cloudy with patchy outbreaks of rain and drizzle developing on the coast, moving inland during the afternoon and evening, though it's going to feel mild. Temperatures 13 to 16 degrees, your westerly breezes just light. Okay, next on the programme is Betty Holmes, chairperson of Donegal Action for Cancer Care. Betty, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Good to see you, good to hear you.
Thank you, Greg, as well.
Right, okay. The uptake of the initial appointments for breast check are incredibly low. I looked at the figure and thought it must be a misprint. Talk us through it, Betty.
Well, first, it's important to say that a DACC would consider that we have a very positive relationship with breast check. We don't always agree with them, Greg, but, you know, when we submit queries, we get answers and they would give us regular updates. So we got the update that told us that the initial uptake of women was very low. It was 42%. Now, we actually found that quite upsetting because if you realise how many women, if we go back to the start of COVID last year, Greg, the waiting list that was there, and now we see that the figure is 42%. Now, that's scary. That's really concerning.
But we really need to know why that is, Betty, don't we? Is it that the clinics are in the wrong place? It's too awkward for busy people to get to them? Or is it people going, you know what, I have not noticed anything on my breast. This doesn't apply to me. I'm just not going to turn up. Like, it's crucial we find out why most women aren't going for this initial screen.
Absolutely, Greg, because we do realise there was a whole mix-up and Breast Check have acknowledged it. Remember, we had the situation, was it last year or 18 months ago, where women from Inishowen were being sent to Donegal town and it was all over the place. And Breast Check acknowledged that that was their mistake and it was rectified at the time. So we, as DACC, have sat very tight on it. We are looking for the current waiting list figures. But it's scary that if women are actually receiving their appointment to go to Letterkenny for the breast check appointment. Now that they've extended it to 5 days, and hopefully they're going to try and do a Saturday as well, that they go there, and if they're not going or they're not able to go, that they contact breast check and reschedule that appointment so that somebody else can get it. But for the uptake rate to be 42% is really, really worrying. There has to be a reason why figures have dropped to that level, considering that women were literally panicking because, if I remember rightly, the figures were up, I'm doing this from memory, Greg, so it could be wrong, but it was over 6,500 when COVID happened. So, there's a major issue here, and we are pleading on women, please, attend your appointment.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Women listening between the ages of 50 and 69. As part of this process, they're offered a mammogram, which is effectively an X-ray of the breast. This happens every 2 years. Now, what this does is it will spot any early signs, like really, really early signs. And these people that read these scans just know exactly what to look for. I presume there's an element of stuff could be discovered, and then there's a bit more of an exploratory work, and then it turns out to be nothing. But this is the difference between going and getting this scan when you're cold, or discovering something a little bit further down the line. It turns out to be cancer, and it's far more advanced than it needed to be. Like, I'm saying this as someone who tries to avoid seeing the GP at any turnaround, so I understand I'm being two-faced here. But this is real life-saving stuff. This screens people and picks things up really, really early if need be. And in the majority of scans, I'm absolutely positive, come back clear.
Yeah, because if you remember rightly, we have the unit that rotates between Letterkenny and Donegal town. We are very aware that breast check actually put in an additional unit, if you remember, for a period last year. They are unable to do that this time. We had breast check then in Buncrana. That was withdrawn. DACC had serious concerns around that. But at that time, it was made clear that women were only being asked to attend for their appointment every 2 years. So it was hoped that they would be able to travel from the Inishowen area to Letterkenny, so again, we can't stress the life that you save may be your own. And I'm sorry, I forgot to switch my phone off.
No, don't worry about that, Betty. See, the problem too we have, whilst you sort that out, Betty, the problem we have as well here is we can fight, when I say we, you and others fight to have these services. If 4 out of 10 or 6 out of 10 people aren't turning up, it makes the argument to retain services very difficult. That would be my fear.
Well, Greg, it's interesting you should say that, because I was looking through some of my emails this morning, and DACC actually started to fight for breast check in Donegal in 2007. And I have a list of letters here where we went. I have the submissions that we actually put in when it was going to be rolled out in the spring of 2009 in Donegal, was to be the starting point, which didn't happen. We have our submission, and in fact, actually, I read through them. We actually even put this in hard to reach population base in 2010. And DACC, as other groups and people, fought very hard for breast check because we recognise the importance of it. And again, we can't stress that the life you could save could be your own, So, but for us in DACC, we need to find out why the figure is 42%.
We need to listen to the women. Is it inconvenience? Is it putting it off? Is it sure after coming through COVID, I'll do it I'll be all right for this 2 years and I'll do it. Whatever the reasons are, we need to find out. And if women want to text in 086 60 25,000 and help us understand. But, I don't know if it's a use it or lose it situation, but this is a life-saving screening system that that you and others campaign really, really hard for. And it's about saving our brilliant women's lives as much as is possible.
And we would have serious concerns, Greg, that if the figure has dropped to that level of 42%, so that means that you're talking, 58%, haven't taken up their appointments, then there is a danger that we're going to have those sitting again at national level saying, well, do we need this service in Donegal? Because we had that situation in Buncrana, and we fought hard for it. So please, if you can let Highland know or let me know why if you got your appointment,
Why didn't you turn up?
Why didn't you turn up?
Betty,
it's crucial.
Okay, listen, we'll talk again on this.
Thank
you
you.
so much for that. Betty Holmes there, Chair of Donegal Action for Cancer Care. Okay, another busy hour to come on the programme. We always say it's busy, but we always follow through. It is always busy, so don't go anywhere. We can't fit as much in as we have for you. We want your involvement as well. But we also want to keep you up to date with what's happening on the hour. At the top of the hour, it's news time. Good morning, Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Investigations are ongoing after a man died in a crash last night near Buncrana. The man in his 40s was pronounced dead at the scene. 2 others were hospitalised. One of those, a woman in her 30s, is said to be in a serious condition. The 2-vehicle collision occurred at around 10:50 p.m. in the Mina Ward area on the mountain road between Buncrana and Carndonagh. A mocked-up video broadcast on Russian television of a nuclear strike destroying Ireland has been described as shocking by the Environment Minister. In it, a known associate of Vladimir Putin also falsely claims that Boris Johnson has threatened nuclear action on Russia. The nuclear weapon is seen being detonated off the coast of Donegal. Garda in Donegal are appealing to road users who were on the Loch Salt Road at around 9:40 p.m. on Sunday and who may have any information relating to a crash to come forward. A female teenager, a passenger in the single vehicle collision, is currently in a serious condition in Beaumont Hospital. The male driver, who is in his late teens, was taken to Letterkenny University Hospital following the crash. Anyone with information is asked to contact Gardaí in Milford. A substantial amount of jewellery has been stolen from a business premises in Letterkenny. Between 5 p.m. on Friday and 9:15 p.m. on Saturday, a window to the rear of the building on the Port Road was smashed and entry gained. Meanwhile, an investigation has been launched following the theft and burning of a vehicle in Carndonagh. A white Volkswagen Tiguan was stolen from a house at some time between 8:30 p.m. on Sunday and 2 a.m. yesterday morning. The Jeep was later located on fire. A campaign is ongoing in a bid to make changing places toilet facilities mandatory in public buildings. In Donegal, there are no registered changing places and only 17 nationwide. A public consultation is currently underway by the Department of Housing with a view towards altering building regulations to make such amenities mandatory in public buildings. And the government is considering plans to cut college fees today under new proposals to reduce the cost of third-level education. Higher Education Minister Simon Harris also wants to see the grant system reformed so that more part-time students can access financial support. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Thank you very much, Michaela. I want to go to Marie before the break. Marie, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. Right, now, you had a mammogram on Friday, but the communication or the system, is it working? What happened?
Well, what happened to me, Greg, was I got the letter on Thursday afternoon to attend for Friday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Now, prior to that, I had my last mammogram in 2018, which was incomplete. Then I was told then that it would be my last mammogram because I would be over 65.
Mm-hmm.
So then the age group extended to 69. So I phoned them, I phoned Breast Check, and they said they would send me out another appointment. So I was waiting 18 months to get Friday's appointment.
Wow. Do you have any understanding as to why they would give you 1 day's notice? Because it'd be very hard for an awful lot of people to be able to rearrange things.
Yeah, that's my point I wanted to make to you and Betty, is that maybe one of the reasons that women aren't turning up, that they're not getting enough notice.
Yeah. Like I could see, of 100 women that got 1 day notice, I could see 6 out of 10 of them saying, I can't make it, I can't do that tomorrow morning, sure, I don't have anyone to do this, that or the other.
Exactly, yes.
Right, okay, that definitely requires more examination. And when you describe one as incomplete, Marie, if it's not personal, because, pardon my ignorance, what does incomplete mean?
That they couldn't, the readings weren't right, or
okay.
They couldn't do it properly.
So given the gap between 2018, nothing in 2020, and then finally getting the appointment for 2022, have you been, would that be something that you've worried about since 2018, or do you Like,
I know I wasn't really, Greg.
Okay.
The only reason I wanted it rechecked was my mum did die from breast cancer.
Okay.
And my sister had a benign lump, so I just thought I'd better get it checked. But I kind of forgot about it in the interim,
Yeah, I get you. Until you got the letter on Thursday and went for it on Friday, you were able to do it. Marie, listen,
But
thanks.
then
Yes, go ahead.
On Friday, then, after the mammogram, when my post arrived, I got another letter
Mhm.
to say to send for the mammogram on Friday.
Right. Okay. Did you have to travel far for it, Marie? I'm not asking where you're from. Or...
That's why I was able to attend. I'm local.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah.
Marie, thanks for your insight. I appreciate it greatly.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye. 086 60 25,000. As I say, we're trying to get some sense, and it's obviously going to be based off a small number of people, but we're trying to get some sense as to why 60% of women aren't turning up for their initial mammogram. Because we're going to hear from maybe the HSC or whomever is responsible saying, well, we can't justify having a unit there if the majority aren't coming to it. But I don't want that to happen before we find out what is actually going on. Hello, Greg. Just listening to Betty. Can you ask her about the online system? Every time I check, I have to fill in my details, which is fine, but still don't have an appointment. I'm 51 past in November and have been on the register. It said since I turned 50, I'd go to the appointment, not a problem, whenever I get it. That comes in from Lorna. That's another person that the system doesn't seem to be working for. I got my breast check about 8 weeks or more and still didn't get my results, even though I was told I would get them in approximately 3 weeks. Could you ask Betty, who do I contact about the results? We'll get answers to these questions for you. Are you sure these patients are getting these appointments? If you could find out from someone that didn't turn up, did they really get an appointment? The problem is, okay, let's just say in Marie's example, she hasn't had an appointment since 2018. Oh, yeah, 2018. Is it possible that if we contacted the HSC, that would not on her behalf, but that they would say, well, she hasn't turned up for 3 appointments? Like, can we be assured that that's not what's happening? That, in other words, they're issuing appointments, but they aren't, and then people who don't get the appointments and are wondering why are classed as no-shows. Do you get me? This is why I think it's so important we do some more digging here. A caller says, I wish I had a chance to refuse an appointment. I'm 54 this year and still waiting for my first appointment. So potentially should be on your third, really, shouldn't you? 50, 52, 54. The caller says, I contacted my GP and was told it was nothing to do with them and to check the register, which I did. It says I'm on the register and will be contacted when they are in the area. I don't know who else I can contact. Again, we'll try and get more answers to these questions, but there's a person who wants it, 54 now, still hasn't had an appointment. How does that tally with 60-odd% of women not turning up for tests? Scans, I beg your pardon. Ask Betty, what about those who are on a waiting list for over 3 or 4 years and not being called? Those are the people we're hearing more of at the moment. We haven't heard yet from anyone who got an appointment and didn't turn up. It's mostly people who are very, very anxious for an appointment. Let us know.
This is your guide to smart glasses. Smart glasses often look like regular glasses, and some of them have built-in cameras. Even if you don't wear smart glasses, it's helpful to know what it looks like when someone who is wearing them is taking a photo or video. The person wearing smart glasses usually has to take an action, such as tapping the capture button to activate the camera. When the smart glasses are recording, you'll see an LED light on the frame. So now you know a bit more about smart glasses.
A message from Meta and Essilor Luxottica.
Is your water safe to drink? If your water tastes unpleasant or has a foul smell, it may be a sign that something is in your water. Brothers Tech Donegal provide a complete private well water treatment service using the best water treatment equipment to meet your needs. Or maybe you drilled a new well and the water isn't satisfactory. At Brothers Tech, their expert team will also service existing problematic systems. If you're concerned about the quality of your water, call Brothers Tech on 087 638 7057.
Are you looking for a career in residential care within the Donegal area? We're hiring. Solus EMC Children's Services are hosting a recruitment open day on the 5th of May and an open night on the 10th of May at our offices in Ture, Muff. For details, email info@solusemc.ie or check our Instagram at solus_EMC.
Atlantic Technological University Donegal's May Open Day will take place on Thursday the 5th of May from 3 to 7 p.m. Join us on our Letterkenny campus to discover the wide range of course options available. With undergraduate, postgraduate and part-time offerings, soak in the atmosphere at Donegal's newest university. If you're not able to come in person, log on to our virtual open evening platform on Thursday from 3 to 7, where you'll be able to join live webinars, take a virtual tour and talk to academic and support staff. Atlantic Technological University. The future is here.
Okay, so we're still examining why it would seem, according to the official statistics, that nearly 60% of women are not turning up for their initial breast check. Helping us here, of course, as well is Teresa. Hi, Teresa.
Hi, how are you?
Maybe you have at least a partial explanation.
Well, the only thing I can say, I'm just talking about myself, is I applied online to go to breast check. And there was a lot of complications actually filling out, but anyway, I got through it. But between waiting on my appointment, I felt concerned about my own breasts, and I went to my doctor. So I got sent from my doctor for my mammogram. So I'm just thinking maybe that's what's happening, that people are concerned and worried, go to their own GP, and they get sent for a mammogram, and then when their appointment comes up with breast check, they've already been for one.
Yeah. That would make sense too.
Yeah, because I got a phone call just a few months ago to say that it was time for me now to go for my appointment to breast check. But because I had already got one, I just said, look, I already waited for this appointment. But between times, I went to my GP, and thank God I got to go for my mammogram, which showed up fine, thank God.
Okay, very good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking maybe that's what's happening.
Did you tell breast check that you weren't going to make that appointment, I wonder?
No, I didn't actually.
And that's fine. I can understand, and I think a lot of people wouldn't, because you would imagine, well, they can fit someone else in. I think that's really normal. I think a lot of people wouldn't either, Teresa, but that would then come up as one of the no-shows. I get you. Okay, listen, thank you for that, Teresa. I'm glad to hear things are okay, and I appreciate you giving us one reason as to why it may appear that people aren't turning up. Thanks, Teresa.
Yeah, because I think it's important that we have breast checking.
100%, yeah, exactly.
We're very lucky it's coming there. So, as I say, I would have went if I didn't already have gone to my GP. You know what I mean?
And I think it would be fair enough. You would have been fair enough to presume that on the system it would have shown you'd recently had a check, and it could have automatically cancelled your appointment.
But the only thing I will say, they had rang me to say that my appointment was coming up now. I think, it's time now for your appointment. Can you make it whatever date? It wasn't that I didn't ring and cancel. They were giving me an appointment.
Understood. Okay. Thank you, Teresa.
No bother.
Take care. Bye-bye. Now, obviously, we have the option as well for you if you wish to leave a voice message for us as well. Obviously, it's great to get the point across if we get an opportunity to speak to you, but that might not be for everyone. So if you want to record a voice message on WhatsApp on your phone and send it through to us to 086 60 25,000, we can play that out as well for you if you want to get your point across but don't want to do it in an interview format. So if you want to send us a voice WhatsApp, 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, that might suit you. Right, okay. Anne joins the conversation now. Anne, good morning to you.
Good morning to you too.
Okay, what's your situation, Anne?
My situation is I had a breast operation 2.5 years ago in Letterkenny Hospital. And I'm 71 now in October. I was due a breast check on a year and a half ago. I never got an appointment for it. Never.
And obviously you'd be keen to do that as a follow-up.
I would be down the road like a shot if I got an appointment. No problem.
So you're listening here going, there's something going on here. Apparently 6 out of 10 appointments aren't filled and I can't get an appointment.
No, exactly. I never got an appointment. I mean, I don't understand it because the last appointment I had was a year before I had my breast operation. It's 3.5 years now, but she said to me, just because of my age, I was 69 then, and she said to me, you're due another breast check before you're, cut off the list. And I never got it. And then I had a breast operation, and I was expecting them to call me for a breast check after that. and I never got any appointment of any kind to go to a breast check. And I would go from here to Sligo or anywhere to get my breast checked.
Wow, okay. Another listener, Anne, says 54 this year, never had a call yet for breast check. Another, I'm still waiting an appointment. I registered 2 years ago when I turned 50, so they're 52. So there's more and more women contacting us who are very keen to have their initial breast check, and in your case, you want your follow-up one, I suppose you might call it. And all of them saying the same as you. If they got enough notice, they'd go anywhere for it at this stage.
I tell you, I mean, I got 3 years ago, I got an appointment for Letterkenny, and I was dying to get it done. And then I got an appointment, I was cancelled, and then I had to go to Sligo, and I drove to Sligo to get my appointment. It's just so important, you know, to have this done.
Yeah.
But
I don't
when
think
you don't get appointment and you can't, I mean, suppose these women maybe are just like myself. They're waiting on an appointment and they don't get one.
Well, everyone, in relation to breast check, another caller, Anne, my sister-in-law called them last week as she has been waiting 2 years and she hadn't been accepted onto the breast check system. 2 years later, another, I'm 53, still no appointment for my mammogram. So everyone contacting us is very, very keen, even for an appointment. So there's something going on, Anne.
Well, I don't know now if I'll get an appointment now or not, because I'm in that age group of 71 this year.
Understood, yeah.
And once you go to that certain age, you don't be called.
What do you think of that there's this age 69 cut
I don't think it should be done. I don't think it should be done away with that age at all. I think it should be on the list to the day you die.
Because that lady we were speaking to a little earlier, you know, her mum sadly passed of breast cancer. I think her sister had an issue as well. Your worries or your concerns or your health don't all of a sudden not matter at 69, do they?
No, it does not. I think you should have it done at least every 2 years, no matter what age you are, until the day you die. Because I know of people that died at 70-something with breast cancer, and even 80s. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And it still is important to find it early.
It is. Very important.
Right, listen, I hope you get your appointment soon. Thank you very much.
I'm not hoping at this stage.
Right.
I'm giving up, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, that's not right either, that you should feel like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Take care. Bye-bye. Mary emailed, I'm 51 and registered with breastcheck.ie. About a month ago, I phoned the online number as I knew they were testing in the area. They gave me a reference number and a number in Galway to phone for an appointment. So I phoned Galway and they gave me an appointment on the phone for 2 weeks later. I attended and got the results back about 2 weeks later. Thanks, Mary, for that. And maybe for some of the women we've been speaking to who are anxious for an appointment, that might work for them. But there's something going on here. We're getting, and we're in the dozens at this stage of people contacting us saying they're really, really, really keen for an appointment. They've been registered since they were 50. They're 51, 52, 53, 54. Still no appointment. Yet we're being told the official statistics are stating that 6 out of 10 women aren't turning up for their initial breast check. So there's something going on that requires, that's precisely what we're doing, requires more digging.
This is your guide to smart glasses. Smart glasses often look like regular glasses, and some of them have built-in cameras. Even if you don't wear smart glasses, it's helpful to know what it looks like when someone who is wearing them is taking a photo or video. The person wearing smart glasses usually has to take an action, such as tapping the capture button to activate the camera. When the smart glasses are recording, you'll see an LED light on the frame. So now you know a bit more about smart glasses.
A message from Meta and Essilor Luxottica.
The CFC Interior Stock Disposal Sale ends this weekend. Due to overstock, an incredible £1.5 million worth of stock must go. Don't miss our highest ever discount on selected ranges across all departments. The Stock Disposal Sale at CFC Interiors, Derry, Cookstown and Abbey Centre.
Sunday, April 3rd was Census Night, and our enumerators have now finished collecting census forms. Every form must be returned, so if your form hasn't been collected, please free post it now to the address on the front of your form. Visit census.ie to find out more. Be counted.
COVID-19 booster vaccines, now available for over 65s and all eligible patients in your local Healthwise pharmacy. Appointments now available. Please ask in-store or complete an online form at healthwisepharmacies.ie. COVID-19 booster vaccines are the best way to stay protected against COVID-19 and are recommended by our pharmacists. Healthwise Pharmacies, caring for your community.
Attention all tractor and forklift owners. Donegal Tyres in Donegal Town is a leading supplier of agricultural and solid forklift tyres in the northwest with a huge range available at competitive prices. Donegal Tyres can help you choose the correct tyre for your application and we will come to you, so no downtime. Check out DonegalTyres.com or call 07497 21482. That's Donegal Tyres, Donegal Town, where you'll get a great deal.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
And now, out and about, as I've become a little bit more aware over recent years, I find myself looking at facilities in businesses for people with a disability or wheelchair users. And what I've noticed is, because I've done a bit of exploring of this, that sometimes it has the symbol on the door, but if you actually open the door and have a look in, it can often be, not often, sometimes it's being used as a storeroom. Other times, it's clearly not suitable for someone in a wheelchair to be able to go in, turn, come out. It's not. So it's almost like a box ticking exercise. Other places excellent. Don't get me wrong. It's not right across the board. So that's in private business. So level expectations, I don't know, might be different. But public spaces where you could comfortably change someone or use the facilities, you'd expect that the state has stepped up to the mark, wouldn't you? Not always the case. Claire McDevitt is a Donegal mother of 5-year-old son Rory, who has a disability, and is going to highlight the issue with us at the moment. Hiya, Claire. How are you keeping?
Hi, Greg. How are you?
I'm okay. So what's your current experience with, I suppose, private and publicly? Is your focus on public facilities, or let us know what the situation is?
I suppose public facilities are non-existent really at the moment. I mean, you have your disabled toilets, you know, and that's, as you say, it doesn't apply to all. Many of them are small. You know, you're getting a wheelchair in and moving around is difficult. Some are larger, you know, and there are local businesses actually that are much larger, and you can get in, you can get moving around. Some provide a baby changing bench. Now, that might suit some. Definitely does not suit all people. You'd be lucky to get a baby changing bench in one. So then you're looking at, well, what if you're like my child can't use the toilet? Many children, adolescents and adults can't use the toilet. So where do you go there? You know, how are you going to change? How are you going to, because they deserve to go too. And I think that's what we're looking at, Greg. Really.
I think there's a difference between having a facility and that facility actually being fit for purpose for all. Like, you know of people, we all know of people who want to go somewhere in Ireland and they actually have to plan out their journey and sometimes their food and liquid intake, if, say, for instance, if they're a wheelchair user, because there's a couple of places dotted around the country and people are trying to organise days out or journeys for hospital appointments or whatever it might be around it. It shouldn't be like that. It's crazy, especially with new buildings, Claire.
Oh, absolutely. And I can only speak from our own experience. And obviously the last 2 years, we haven't really gone anywhere. And lucky enough, maybe before that, Rory was a wee bit smaller. You could obviously manage him a lot better, you know, on a baby changing bench. 2 years on, we're coming out of the pandemic. We're wanting to get out and about more. I mean, CHI Crumlin have only just established a changing place within the hospital. Letterkenny Hospital definitely don't have one. You know, and you're looking at, well, we want to get out and about. We want to enjoy ourselves. We spent 2 years stuck in the house. But really, you do have to think, how can we do this? I carry a changing mat in the car with me. on occasion, we've had to pull down the seats and change him in the car, in the boot of the car, because that's just what you get, you know. And some of the spaces maybe that has a baby changer, he doesn't like it. He screams, you know. If you think about it, if you had one of the proper changing benches that are suitable for children, adults, their level, I suppose they're height adjusted, so they can come down lower. You know, you're not having to lift higher. And, you know, there's those kind of things there, Greg.
And also, you know, the car is an inconvenience, but people will have an occasion where they actually have to change someone on the floor of a toilet.
Yeah. I mean, we were in a local community centre. I won't name names, but it was a new facility that was built over the last couple of years. We were there as part of a group for children with disabilities. And when we asked for somewhere to change him, the disabled toilet there, yes, it was big enough to manoeuvre the wheelchair around, but we were offered a mat for the floor. You know, and that's the reality of it. And it's, you know, it's no fault of the organisation that was there carrying out the event, but it's about building standards. It's about regulations. You know, having a disabled toilet facility isn't enough, because not all children and adults can use a toilet. But even if you're given a toilet, you need to make sure that there's enough room at the side for assistance, because maybe they can't safely self-transfer. You know, you need a hoist, you know, as well, because, you know, they're not all, you know, you can't all lift either. You know,
and the thing about this, Claire, it's going to be difficult to sort of expect retrofitting, although it might happen. But there are buildings being built right now where the disabled facilities box is ticked, but if they had any consultation with someone who uses these facilities, they would realise that they aren't fit for purpose. And in the wider scale of some of the construction that we're looking at, some of the builds, to put in proper accessible facilities, it can be done, and it wouldn't affect the bottom line much. It's just a case of people recognising that the likes of Rory, you and others need to be treated with respect and given dignity.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it is. And people can, you know, it can be changed, but it does take people power to do these things. It's like everything in the country, you know, and we have to highlight this. And many families countrywide are calling for this, you know, and we all, our children, you know, our family members all deserve this right as well, you know, and it isn't easy. And
so what it requires us is us to support the likes of you, Claire, and others. In these times, it's difficult financially. You're not looking for finances, don't get me wrong, I know that, but I'll get to the point. It's difficult for people to feel that they can make a difference because they don't have spare time or spare money to help a charity or whatever it might be. This is a situation where people can help by just logging onto the computer, because the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage is currently seeking the views of the public about changing the building regulations. So changing place toilets will be mandatory in certain public buildings. Unbelievable that they're not. So that's how everyone here can listen to you and go, you know what, I can't make a difference with other things in life, but I can let my voice be heard here, and I can back up Claire and this campaign. Do you get where I'm coming from, Claire? People can help here.
They can, and that means so much, and it will only take a few moments to do. And if you log on to changingplaces.ie, they actually have a sample email there that you can just email. And if you have an experience, if there's somebody out there that goes, I've been in that situation, I didn't realise that I could, you know, voice this, you know, put your personal experience in there with the email, send it to buildingstandards@housing.gov.ie. and have that done before 5 p.m. on the 12th of May. And that will make a difference, Greg. It really will.
In Donegal, there are 0 registered changing places. Across the entire country, there are 17. Now, if you consider how much of the population might be able to avail of these, they're seriously underserved. There's a lot of info there as to how you can help by having your say. The go-to place I would suggest, changingplace.ie, and there's a sample email there as Claire has been outlining, and the email address is there as well. The closing date for the receipt of submissions and comments is 5 p.m. on the 12th of May, so you have little over a week just to log onto your computer when you've got 5 minutes, or open your phone and do something that will help this campaign. It shouldn't have to be a campaign to embarrass or force a government body to insist that these facilities are made available. It's crazy, Claire.
It really is. It really is. And I thank you so much for being able to highlight this and, and get it out there that this is what's needed for our children, that are, we're now being able to get out more. So it'd be great to just not have to worry about that aspect of it too.
100%. And I would say, Claire, between support groups and what have you, parents and guardians and caregivers, they probably exchange good places. This is not bad, that's not bad, this is okay. I'm sure that goes on, and people are trying to, if they can get out, organise things around, where are good facilities for simply changing someone. It's crazy stuff.
It is.
But it has to happen.
And we share, when we do share this information,
yeah.
And there are some local private businesses that have a great, change or disabled toilet. If they could just add in a few wee extras that would make it more accessible and inclusive to all, and that's there, and then you talk, so it is possible.
Yeah, and then there are entire towns that you'd think there's, because of the signs, there's loads of facilities, but if you actually go around them, they're not there at all in a usable way. All right, Claire, listen, thanks for that. Best wishes to everyone, and Rory. Thank you, Claire.
Oh, thank you so much. Bye, Greg. Thank you.
Bye. Claire McDevitt there, 08660 25,000 if you wish to have an opinion on that. Back to the issue of breast check. Just for those joining us, we're trying to get to the bottom of why the statistics tell us that 6 out of 10, almost 6 out of 10 women aren't turning up for their initial mammogram. The contact to our programme so far has been, I'm 51, I'm 52, I'm 53, I'm 54, where I want an appointment, and I'll go at short notice and wherever if need be, because people are keen for that to be done. Right, some of your comments here, Greg. I had a mammogram over a year ago through my GP, was all clear. I got my routine mammogram 2 months ago, which I attended, and I'm currently attending Galway Hospital for treatment for what was found on my latest mammogram. Please attend all your appointments, they are vital. Another, I felt as if I needed to have a breast check because I had just turned 50 and HRT. I called the number. It is just important as it relates to HRT. The links between HRT and breast cancer are heavily disputed, by the way, but I understand your concerns. They say, I called the number for breast check and I was seen within 2 weeks in Letterkenny. Had to check the register online before could give me an appointment, but was really easy and fast, same as your previous texter. Another, I think it's very selfish if people who get an appointment and do not attend breast check and do not cancel their appointment. That slot could be used by someone else. I finally got an appointment this week. My last one was 4 years ago. But we have to make sure that people are being notified of their appointments, because one lady we've spoken today got 1 day's notice to attend and she'd been waiting for 18 months for it. Why does breast check stop at 69? Those over that age, do they not matter? That's exactly what we were asking. Another, think you're off the list once you reach 70. Again, why is that acceptable? It's surely couldn't be acceptable. And more coming in on maintenance, politics in the north, and so much more besides. But we are going to crack on with our next item, and we'll get to those comments as we head towards the news and the end of the programme at 12.
The Michael English Celebration Tour comes to the Millennium Forum Derry on Wednesday, May the 11th, and the Struhl Arts Centre Oma on Friday, May 20th. Come and join Michael and his super band for a spectacular musical extravaganza, a brand new tour of his best yet. Celebrate once again with a night of non-stop sing-along favourites. It's a show you simply won't want to miss. For more on the Derry show, see millenniumforum.co.uk, and for more on the Oma show, see struhlartscentre.co.uk. For details of all Michael's shows, see michaelenglish.ie.
Are you looking for truly independent financial advice? John F. Lowery Financial Services provides impartial guidance on pensions, investments, savings, deposits and protection, so we can help you prepare and provide for all stages of life. Serving the Northwest for more than 35 years, we are a family-run business and award-winning broker. At John F. Lowery Financial Services, our business is your financial peace of mind. To arrange a personal consultation, visit jfl.ie or call 9124 002. John F. Lowery and Associates Limited, trading as John F. Lowery Financial Services, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The Kia Sportage, Donegal's best-selling car for 2022. If you're thinking about making the move to Kia or to upgrade your current Kia, make sure to call in today to iMotors Letterkenny or Malin. With a 7-year warranty as standard, driving a Kia makes sense.
Fancy a barbecue this evening? Pop into Kelly Centra in Letterkenny and you'll find all you need. Burgers, sausages and chicken pieces, burger baps, cheese and great offers in the off licence. Portable barbecues, utensils and even garden furniture. For the perfect barbecue, visit Kelly's award-winning Centra at Mountaintop Letterkenny.
Okay, we're joined on the programme now by two guests. Vinnie McLaughlin. Good morning, Vinnie.
Morning, Greg.
Thank you very much for joining us. And also we're joined by Mark McCarran. Good morning, Mark.
Morning, Greg.
You're mates?
We are, yeah.
Okay, right. Mark, tell us your story, because this is about a fundraiser for Cystic Fibrosis Ireland. This is obviously personal to you, Mark.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Tell us your story.
Well, I was diagnosed at birth. Cystic fibrosis, and I was quite lucky kind of for most of the childhood to not really be affected by it. I kind of lived normal, playing football and all. So then kind of towards the end in secondary school then kind of started, I had to stop playing football at the age of 18.
Mid-teens, yeah?
Yeah,
that kind
like
of
16,
age.
17,
Right.
yeah. Just found it more difficult to do things, and I had to eventually stop playing football then at 18, and over the years then it was just case of being in and out of hospital quite often, a couple of times a year in Beaumont Hospital. So.
And how did it affect you? Obviously, in terms of presumably your energy levels for football, and that, is it?
Absolutely, yeah. Just I remember that last game I played. It was, I think I sprinted about 20 yards, and that was me done.
So your 20s have been tough then, late teens, 20s.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Just as I was getting older, like in the 20s and all. It was just more and more time in hospitals, like 4 or 5 times a year.
And would that be down to maybe getting an infection or something? Or
it was all down to chest infections, yeah. I know it's strange in one sense, but thankfully that's as bad as it got for me, was chest infections.
But a chest infection to you potentially is a big deal. So,
like it was 2 or 3 weeks in Beaumont for me, just for a chest infection.
And what about COVID then?
Thankfully I've escaped it so far, touch wood. But for the first number of months, I had isolated on my own, living my own.
That'd be, especially very early on, that would have been a particular concern for you, I'd imagine.
Yeah, just when Leo Varadkar made the announcement on TV, that was me then. I had nobody coming into the house.
Now, there's a new drug was made available, and it's made a big difference to you, hasn't it?
Oh, massive difference. Energy levels, unbelievable. I haven't been in hospital since I started the drug, Kaftrio, in July. It's probably I haven't had any form of antibiotics, which is probably the longest in about 10, 11 years, I would say, I've gone without needing antibiotics.
And what does the drug do? How does it work? I'm not expecting you to give us the full medical, but in as simple terms as I might be able to understand.
Yeah, I think the aim is to kind of reverses what most of maybe cystic fibrosis does to your body.
Yeah.
Like I used to be coughing quite a lot and all, and nowadays I can't even cough. I try.
And is this a long-term treatment?
Yeah, at the moment anyway. I think there's one currently going on the trial as well in America at the moment.
Yeah.
I think the early signs have shown that it might be performing better than Kaftrio.
So. And in terms of, how maybe your health might deteriorate as you age, does this drug and hopefully the next drug, does it stall that, or do you know what I mean? Does it slow down any sort of worsening of the condition?
Yeah, from what I was told in Beaumont anyway, from what they've been seeing from other patients, yeah. I mean, there's people like who've been on the lung transplant, and with this new drug now they've come off it, and they've just.
It's expensive.
It is quite expensive, yeah. I'm not sure the exact figure, but I imagine it's about 6 figures.
Right, okay. Now, through all of this, how important has Cystic Fibrosis Ireland been in supporting you, or for information, or even maybe trying to get you onto this new drug? Tell us the role of Cystic Fibrosis Ireland.
Oh, they've been amazing. It says they're always there for anything you need. They have a number of grants as well. I suppose exercise grant was the biggest one for myself.
Yeah.
You can buy maybe gym equipment with it. You can membership for the gym, PTs and all. And so obviously exercise is very important for us, like to help clear the lungs. And but they've been absolutely amazing. Like,
all right. And Vinnie, this is where you come in, Vinnie McLaughlin, because obviously you make Mark, the situation. You've seen his ups and downs. Why do you want to get involved in raising money for the CFI?
So basically, I've known Mark. We're actually cousins, me and Mark, so I've known Mark my whole life. I would say 7, maybe 8 months ago, I've seen Mark at his lowest. I've seen him up high, down low. I've seen him at his very lowest. When this drug came out, till then, till now, it blew my mind, the difference in him. He's like he kind of never talked really about himself there, but he's like a different man. If you'd have seen him 9 months to now, like it just blew my mind. I couldn't believe it, and it's a tablet, you know, and it changed his life completely. I think back then he couldn't have got any lower, but now it just how he's going now, it's amazing. Like,
did you see that yourself, Mark? Did you feel that yourself?
100%. Like when it just before I started the drug, I had spent 4 out of about 6 or 7 weeks in hospital in Beaumont, and my lung function was at 50%. Now it's up now at 85. Like,
wow.
So it is.
We used to actually, like, before he was at his lowest, he used to be in Beaumont maybe for 2 weeks, twice a year. We used to make it a thing that me and maybe 2 or 3 other lads used to go up to Mark, you know, and visit him. But there, like last year, it must have been 4 or 5 times a year in hospital. Like, you just knew it was taking a toll on him. Yeah. And then when this drug came out, he's just, as I say, he's like a changed man.
Yeah, it's amazing stuff, isn't it? And so what are you doing to raise funds for Cystic Fibrosis Ireland?
So basically what I'm doing is 65 holes of golf for 65 roses. They call it 65 roses because cystic fibrosis is quite difficult to say.
Yes, actually, okay.
You know, so that's a 65 part about it.
That makes sense, actually, now that 65, okay.
So I'm doing that in Letterkenny Golf Club this Friday. Basically, I'm playing 65 holes just back to back.
And the link here is the fact that there's a lot of campaigning and fighting to get this drug available, and Cystic Fibrosis Ireland would be at the forefront of that as well. You know, advocating on behalf of yourself and others. Because individually, it's very hard to make change, but if you have an organisation like the CFI or 65 Roses, which I think is really clever, you know, that's where you get the pressure put on, you know, which is great. Right, okay, so how is this a fundraiser? This sounds to me like someone who likes golf going out having a game of golf to me. I don't know what it sounds like to you, Mark.
Absolutely.
So
I'm afraid to see you walking over hot coals or something.
Yeah, see, like it's no, it's going to be like, it'll be very difficult. I know. It's 3 full rounds of golf and then 11 holes, which the final 11, Mark's joining me for the 11, brilliant. So I think that's quite nice. But it will be tough. Yeah. But I do have people coming and going throughout the day. Maybe that might crack it up a wee bit. Actually, your own David James is actually joining me on the day for a couple of holes, so that's brilliant.
See, the thing is the better you're playing on the day, the quicker you get through this. Yeah, but if you're having a nightmare.
But I can't imagine after 2 rounds I'm going to be playing quite well.
I don't think, you know, like Tiger Woods, who's to say? Who's to say? And you're doing it all at Letterkenny Golf Course, yeah? So you're going around 3 times plus 11?
Yeah.
Okay, and you start at on Friday the 6th of May, 6:30.
Yeah.
And the weather's going to be brilliant on Friday, which is actually which is helpful.
We actually held a charity football match there on Saturday. Yeah. It was Man United fans versus Liverpool fans, because I'll be a big United fan and Mark will be a big Liverpool fan.
There's always one, isn't there?
Yeah. But
it's funny he hasn't mentioned the result of the game.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
We'll not mention that. But the week was brilliant for the weather.
What was the result of the game?
Then Saturday,
come on, Mark.
The sky just opened on us.
2-1.
God, it's a competitive affair. Any bookings? Any bookings?
It was for him, so I kind of had to let them win. But now, as I say, the sky just opened and it was rained the whole day, and then Sunday was nice. So hopefully we're praying that Fridays.
Yeah, now the weather's looking good. Looking good. Yeah. In fact, it's probably perfect for what you're undertaking. So, how can people support you, Vinny? You know, what's the fundraising mechanism?
So,
here?
This past month and a half, I've been taking sponsorship off. I just need to say to the local businesses around here, the generosity has blown my mind of local people around, not even local people, other businesses. Like, I've got, I think, over 80 businesses on board. Brilliant. And I haven't asked for a thing. Everyone's contacted me. When they see that it's so real, and the story of Mark's, it's so real that people want to get in contact and want to help. So the generosity of local businesses blow my mind.
How does that feel for you, Mark? You know, because I know Vinny's doing the fundraiser, but, you know, he's doing it in your name and through your experience and for Cystic Fibrosis on. It must be lovely that, you know, so many businesses and that we're looking for the general public to sort of go, actually, you know, I care enough to get involved in this. You know? Because sometimes we can feel quite lonely and isolated and no one cares, but now you're seeing how, you know, what it means to people.
I can't get over, I know, for many years, anytime I mentioned anything about cystic fibrosis, most people's like, oh, what's that? I don't know. Yeah. But like I was very surprised. Like every day, Vinny would ring me with 2 or 3 more businesses on board,
Fantastic.
and then maybe going out to get photos. Like, and I can't get over it. Like,
brilliant.
And there's been some. I'd like to thank them all. Like.
Yeah, there's been some amazing people who very severely affected by Cystic Fibrosis Ireland that spoke very publicly on a national scale as well, along with Cystic Fibrosis Ireland, that have got us perhaps to where we are. So obviously enjoying great support of the business. There is a Just Giving page, and I think the best thing is people search 65 holes for 65 roses, and I presume the social media element to it as well.
My Instagram and Facebook, it's all over that. The links everywhere, and that's where you'll get it on either one of them.
Right, okay. And you just want people to, if they've got a few bob, just to go on.
It's not even, it's mostly awareness too, and
of course,
and massively to share Mark's story. He's not much of a talker. He's actually
You've
done very
done
well.
all right, I was going to say,
I'm very, very surprised because I done like
it must be my interviewing style. It could be the only thing here. It's the only thing that's
we
changed.
actually done a presentation on Saturday night, and he actually never said a word. I had to speak everything, so I'm actually very, very shocked. But as I say, awareness, and even when I told you about 65 roses, the look on your face there, it's just even to tell another person
of course,
that. Yeah. Awareness and Mark's story, and obviously a few bob will obviously help the cause. CF Ireland.
Excellent. And it's nice to be speaking to someone, Mark, like yourself, who there's a drug has been developed. You've got on the drug and it's made a difference, because often we're trying to raise awareness in the other direction. Do you know what I mean? Where it's someone who can't get access to something, and here we have you getting great results with this drug, and even maybe drugs coming through as well. So it's it's nice that it's framed in that you're feeling good back playing a bit of football and
exactly.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, exactly. But he tried well enough against you, Mark, if I remember correctly. So, do you play golf, generally speaking?
This is my 4th year playing, yeah.
And what's your handicap?
It's 9.7.
Oh, I hate people like that. Yeah. And that's probably not handing in the cards on the bad rounds as well.
No. All my cards are handed in. It probably could be 29.7 to be honest, but...
And Vinny, what about you? Do you play golf, or is football your passion? I know you're playing a few holes the last 11 with your mate here. But
I actually joined up Letterkenny Golf Club as well last year, a few weeks after I started the drug, and I noticed the difference. I always enjoyed golf watching on the TV and all. And
have a bit of crack.
Absolutely.
But it's competition.
We used to, when we were kind of a bit younger, we used to go and play football, the likes of golf and stuff, and go. But he actually couldn't go, because of his energy levels or whatever, and if he caught a flu or something,
it's really tough on you, because what happens is you've got clearly great friends, but they do also have to get on and go out and play the football, but you're still left behind going.
But it is on the back of your head that
playing FIFA or something.
But even COVID, when he says, I think he was down for like 4 months or something, without seeing anyone, but
good to have him back in good health.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. Brilliant stuff. And it's literally 1 tablet every day, is it?
It's 2 in the morning, then 1 at night.
Right, okay.
So it is, but I mean, like it's no problem. Like I've for years, like I've been taking probably 35, 40 plus tablets a day. So.
And do you allow yourself to sort of have confidence in it, or do you sometimes worry, is it tomorrow the day it's not going to work as well as it did yesterday, or what's your attitude in it like that?
No, definitely don't think like that.
Good stuff.
I think I kind of shocked him more. I think he's just he's going with it as well, because as he says, his lung function was 49%. It's up at the 80s now. Like,
I think it's how quick it's happened.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's brilliant. It's lovely. It's fantastic to hear. It's positive.
What a good news for once.
Yeah, exactly. And something working and someone getting on it. Okay, so again, awareness, as you say quite rightly. That's the main thing here as well. People can go on to your social media. Vinny McLaughlin, is it?
Yeah.
And just search that. You're focused on Instagram mostly, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Instagram mostly, yeah.
And presumably then you'll do updates on Friday as well.
Oh, yeah. I'll be going live and stuff, and there'll be people coming
in between bunker shots and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So if you want to give or just get awareness, go on to the social media of Vinny or Cystic Fibrosis Ireland, their website, read up about it, learn a little bit more about it. If you want to say, well, look, fair play, it's lovely to listen to Vinny and Mark, and I want to support cystic fibrosis through this campaign, search Just Giving 65 holes for 65 roses, or get the links on Vinny's social media. All right, listen, it's, as I say, that from according to the weather forecast, it's going to be lovely tomorrow, and it sounds like a good atmosphere. It'll be a good crack. And again, huge amount of support from local businesses. This is one of the reasons why I encourage people as much as they can to shop local, because there's no point going to Amazon or eBay looking for money or support. You know what I mean? It's coming from your local stores, employing local people as well, or people in the locality. All right, listen, well done. I think it's going to be good fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think maybe midway through the third round, you might be going, "What have I got myself into?"
It's just that I think people, different personalities coming and going each time will break it up a bit for me and stuff. So,
all right, well done to both of you. And Mark, genuinely delighted to hear that drug's working for you and you're fighting fit again. Great stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Vinny.
All right, Vinny McLaughlin and Mark McCarran, both of you, thank you very much indeed.
No problem.
Thanks, Greg.
The fishermen working the seas off Ireland bring us a real bounty every day. Like Irish crab meat, low in fat and brim full of protein, omega-3 and essential vitamins and minerals. For lunch or dinner, Irish crab meat is a delicious shellfish you can buy cooked and ready to go in your supermarket or fishmongers. For great recipes online, like crab pasta with cherry tomatoes and basil, visit boardbia.ie/crab and make everyday meals amazing.
Win with low prices from SuperValue. With great offers like save 33% in our Irish steak sale with strip loin steak. Epic! SuperValue signature taste breakfast deal only €5. Super! And selected cupboard fillers like Nestle multipacks and pouches, any 4 for €4. Unreal! Win with low prices that compete with anyone. Win with SuperValue.
Riverside Sound Systems along with Relay for Life present Back for Good, Westlife and Take That Tribute Band on Friday the 6th of May at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel at 9 p.m. Plus support from Sister Act. Limited tickets available at the Inishowen Gateway Hotel, Buncrana.
Arriva Winchaga's joint programme are hosting a dairy walk on the farm of Robin Stevenson, Clockcore, Killygordon, this Thursday the 5th at 11 a.m. All welcome.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Thinking of a sun holiday with the family? You can now fly to Barcelona 3 times weekly this summer with Ryanair and enjoy some of Europe's best family campsites. Ireland West Airport, you're flying.
Okay, so as we head into the afternoon, it'll be overall cloudy with patchy outbreaks of rain and drizzle developing along our west coast, moving inland during the afternoon and evening. Feeling mild and humid though, temperatures of 13 to 16 degrees with just light westerly breezes. Staying mostly cloudy tonight with scattered falls of rain and drizzle, hill mist and coastal fog too. Lowest temperatures of 9 to 11 degrees. Okay, we are joined on the programme now by Sadie Duffy from Buncrana. She's a boxing referee with Illy's Golden Gloves Boxing Club. Also reffed Katie's first competitive bout back in October 2001. Sadie, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
Thank you very much for joining us. I mean, if we could talk about the importance of this to women's boxing, but this superseded this transcended just women's boxing. It was boxing as a whole. It was sport as a whole, what we witnessed in Madison Square Garden in the early hours of Sunday morning.
Yes, well, I believe Eddie Hearn summed it up very aptly. It's not really women's boxing, men's boxing, and you've said it yourself there. It's boxing as a whole and overall sport in general. It has really lifted the whole sport in general to a new level. And we have to say that it's for women as well. It's really broken down another barrier. It's made history. It's the first sellout contest or championship bout to headline such a major mecca of boxing in the world.
What did you make of, how did you score it? For me as a layperson, I thought Katie won the first 3 and the last 3 for sure, which would have been enough if I was a judge. How did you call it? It was as tight as was predicted.
It was close, to be fair. It was a very, very close contest, competitive, and she did get caught, like as it's well documented now, big time, like in the 5th round. But it's testament to the strength and skill of Katie herself that she was able to dig deep. And obviously her preparation, before the contest in the training camps and stuff and all. But again, we wouldn't want to see her taking too many hard contests like that, Greg. And that's the same to be said for any athlete or any boxer, particularly.
But as she says herself, sometimes, regardless of what the corner says, she just wants to stand there and have a tear up. But I mean, all of that work in the gym and the preparation, the determination. I think anyone watching that 5th round would have thought, right, that's it. She's gassed. Oh. It's one fight too many. This girl's that she's fighting is stronger, not bigger, but stronger. She digs. Like, I don't know how she turned that fight around and composed herself to fight the last 3 or 4 rounds so well. I think she won the 6th, like, coming out after that 5th round.
She did, to be fair. But still, it was a close round, in fairness, Greg. But I believe that Katie edged it, to be honest with you. And that 5th round was a turning point in the whole contest. But as you say, like, nobody knows. Nobody can even answer the question. I don't believe Katie even knows herself how she was able to get past the 5th round. But again, like looking at it and the face-off and what have you pre-bout, Serrano, as you rightly said, she was about half a head taller than her. Physically, she looked stronger. So you would have been thinking to yourself, my God, like this is really a major, major test for Katie. But like I've known her from she was started out in her amateur career, like many people have, and she is 100% dedicated. She's a super, super athlete. She leaves no stone unturned, to be fair, and she's like that's her goal has always been to achieve the best, to be the best, and I believe that she has superseded that. And maybe it is time, if she wants to go for the homecoming defence in Croke Park, I believe she should consider if she's the right people about her and around her that can advise her properly. Like, when you're at the top, there's only one way you can go.
Yeah.
And we all know.
Well, watching the press conference afterwards, she just has no intentions of retiring. She has other challenges that she wants, and she's in control. She knows what she wants, and it's great to see the promoters and all respecting it, saying, look, this is down to Katie and what she wants. I mean, I'm sure you've been asked this question 1,000 times, and I don't know what the answer is, but when did she stand out in October 2001? I mean, I presume you reffed a lot of matches at that time. Did you see anything in Katie that made you say, right, actually, I'm looking at something a wee bit different here?
Yes, she was special, to be fair, and I'm just not saying that for the sake of saying it, because as before that first sanction contest, there was competition, tournaments in the National Stadium in Dublin for all the girls, because there was no structure. I'm not being critical when I say that, but there was no structure in place. So we had to start somewhere. So there was a committee and we organised competitions, and the girls all came up. We put them through the proper process of weigh-ins and making the matches for them. Some of them maybe give away age for weight and what have you, but it was purely to get them into the format and the proper competition mind frame and going forward. So eventually then our organisation, the Federation, the IABA, sanctioned then the first matches for girls on an international tournament, and Katie was the first girl to box. She boxed another Irish girl, Alana Audley Murphy, who boxed out of the Sandy Road Club in Belfast.
Yeah.
So like that was really a history-making moment in Irish boxing, and thankfully things have moved forward since then. Like you see the likes of Kelly Harrington, Amy Broadhurst, a lot of other girls there have succeeded well. Above expectations at European and world level and at Olympic Games.
Just a quick word on you. What do you think about moving it to the 3 minutes? There's strong arguments for and against. I don't think Katie would have seen the final bell of the 5th round if it had been 3 minutes round. And I think one or other of them wouldn't have seen the final round if it were 3 minutes rounds. Does women's boxing need those sort of knockouts and people being drunk or punch drunk, or are we better seeing fast action for 2 minutes as is?
Well, on the point of the changing from 2 minutes to 3 minutes, number one, I'm not a medically qualified person, because a lot of it comes back to like medical expertise and science and long-term effects from heavy blows and things like that. But on a personal opinion, I believe that the 2 minutes is good for the women's boxing. It's fast, it's short, it's sharp, it's quick, and as opposed to the 3 minutes, it can maybe drag on. And you're absolutely 100% in the points you've made there. It could have went against Katie in this particular instance. It could have went against either or of both boxers over the duration of the contest. Yeah. So there's pluses and minuses and everything, Greg, to be honest. Okay. But always err on the side of safety at the minute until such time the medical people decide or sanction, yes, okay.
And also, too, it's not just encouraging girls into boxing. Everyone will know they've spoken to. They're inspirational to girls in whatever they want to do, be it through education, be it football, be whatever. When they see women doing what they did on Saturday night, it's a true inspiration. Sadie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Greg.
Bye-bye, Sadie. Have a great day. Okay, that's the 9 till noon show for this Tuesday.